Perfect. Well, you can pull that out, whatever you want to do. Just only thing is be careful with this.
Okay.
Because if it wiggles loose.
Do you have a power
Clicker?
remote?
Yep.
Victoria, did you send out that link already?
Somewhere.
If not, I've got one in my bag.
Well, we have one.
Don't know. What do you need?
The PowerPoint remote.
Oh, I do
It
not.
was in there.
I haven't used that.
Oh, here it is. I knew it was in there. I put
You
it
got
in
it?
there.
Okay.
I'll let you figure that now.
Hey, good morning. How you guys doing?
Morning.
Good morning.
Fabulous.
Good.
Let me make the rounds and make sure.
Yeah.
everybody's in. Here, put my hair where I'm before
Yeah.
And then do they have books?
They're being.
Okay, sorry for the late.
You want, you want them early? I mean, now or?
Yeah, it was for the 9 o'clock class. So.
Yeah, so we're going, you want, in other words, you want to just go ahead and put them in their hands.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm gonna do.
What's your market center count?
Shack's Beach is maybe south side about 180. And 285 Jack's Beach includes some really, Amelia Island and on the beach areas as well. So. Nope, hang on, let me grab that. Hey, guys, we're gonna be starting in 1 minute.
Yes, I'm sorry, it's not going to respond to it. That's perfectly fine. And I can send you a report. Yeah, I think what we're gonna do since, well, I think I'm gonna pull this
In Victoria. So Zoom World can see us.
Yeah. Well, they can see that.
Okay, so they can't see us with the speaker at all, or do you?
Not when you're sharing.
Yes. So we can't see them or see them. If they have questions or in chats.
It'll pop up in front of range right here.
We might want somebody, one of you guys monitoring it. You or Gabby.
I mean, you're welcome to, or Gabby can.
Gabby's meeting with Deanne right now.
Yeah.
And then, so I can be in here and then we'll switch because I have to meet with them.
Yeah, appreciate it, by the way. Rick, let me know when you're ready.
Sorry, we're not.
I think bring the link.
I was driving when he texted me, so I was like, don't forget that.
You got it.
Yeah, when I unplug my drive. Reminded you now. Should be key.
All right, that should be good.
Thank you.
How do you know?
I clicked it, didn't work.
Okay.
So it is up.
I didn't know that had a
Now,
special light.
plug this guy in. Gets recognized.
Turn that on, you know, it's that in between.
You want me to
That's
start
why I want to put
introducing
on, and
you?
you have to
Okay.
drink it later.
Hey, guys, thanks for joining us this morning. I know we've got some more coming in as well. So I wanted to introduce, we've got a couple of speakers that are joining us today. Rick Bosley, who was a team leader in the Orlando area for 7 years, which is like dog years. That's 49 years.
49 years.
In the world. Moved back into personal production in 2019 and sold 65 houses over the next 2 years, starting from zero. And now actually runs a coaching program in the Orlando area. I am really excited because I've heard him present before. Does a great job. This is a great training class and session as well. So I wanted to introduce Rick. He'll get rolling here shortly. And just a heads up, and at 1 o'clock this afternoon, so this class will run this morning from now until close to noonish. And then at 1, Ray Lopez, who is an OP, large team owner, owns 4 market centers in the North Florida region as well. We'll be doing a home investing class at 1 o'clock. So I'm really excited about the talent that we have assembled to teach us today. You can actually tell, by the way, when you got quality speakers who are noted in the area, when you have other offices and team leaders, for that matter, that travel from across the state to come hear them. So thanks for some of those that have joined us today as well. So
This is Wiki. He's the team leader in Janesville.
How are you guys
Wiki,
doing?
good morning.
you can tell he's special when Nancy hugs him.
I got-
never get a hug.
I got a hug this morning, so I'm good.
Oh my
I
God.
was saying,
Every time I-
I'm glad to be here and I'm ready to take notes. So I hope everybody gets a lot out of today.
And for the guys in the room, you can rest comfortably knowing that we are in the process of replacing the toilet seat. So, all right.
That's still a fresh cracked seat.
Oh, that is newly cracked. With that, Rick,
Thank you, sir.
thank you.
Thank you guys for having me. I think last time I've been in the room, I don't know what we taught. I think it was actually team building and org chart. Might have been 3 years ago, 2018. Is anyone in there? Anyone heard me talk? Mark was. So thanks for having me back, Mark and Margaret, Pete, and everyone else involved. My name is Rick Bosley. So like you mentioned, I've been in the Keller Williams system my entire real estate career. I got licensed in 2010. In 2010, the average price point in Orlando was $97,000. Was what it was, and that's all we knew. And now we get to grow, and thankfully, it's about 330,000 now. We're here for 6 personal perspectives. Okay. We're gonna get this to work, I promise. In slideshow. Let's hold up, screen sharing stopped, okay. We're going to PowerPoint share.
While Rick is in the process of doing this, if you're on Zoom for us, will you put your email address in the chat so we can get the materials out to you as well?
There we go. And so put it in the chat, or this is straight from Keller Williams University, KW Connect. So I've actually gone into KW Connect and
So
seen.
you can actually put it up and they can put it up themselves as well.
They can pull it up themselves if you go through KW Connect. If you don't know already, Keller Williams is recognized and always has been a national coaching and training company that happens to be in the business of real estate. About 5 or 6 years ago, Gary Keller said, and we got to add technology to this mix, which was the creation of Command. Yet from the beginning of times, there's actually 130 plus written courses of curriculum. This is one of them. This is one of my favorite of 6 personal perspectives. So we're going to spend the next 3 hours. Keep in mind, this is a 8-hour course curriculum. So hope you guys click. Just kidding. We're going to condense it to 3 hours. So there might be some things that we skip. And you go, oh, no. For the high C's, you go, no, what was that? We just skipped it. We had to shave off 5 hours. So if we do that, we're going to get through the nuts and bolts and help you out with the 6 personal perspectives, which is mindset. A little bit about me. He kind of gave it there a little bit. I've been licensed in 2010, team leader for the past my first 7 years, real estate. Since last year, July, Ray, my OP right now, and I partnered up and launched productivity coaching. So I've gone from team leader to agent to productivity coach. By doing that, excuse me. Oh, sorry. By doing that, I had to make a choice in my business. When I say my business, it was me and the executive assistant. And so I was like, all right, well, I'm going to go over here and be a full-time coach. What happens to the business? And I went to her and I said, we've got 3 options. We can merge with an existing team and try to fold it in and figure it out. That's not what I would like to do. We can find another agent to come in and replace me and you be their executive assistant. Or what if you get licensed? And that gave her a little bit of acid reflux. And over time, she did. So now my executive assistant is my agent running my team that we're going to be building the team around and through her. So I say I took the elevator from level 2 to level 6, and I skipped the part in between. So we're going to build the team through her. So we're still, and we were able to close last year 34 homes with her being this emerging talent. So we say that, and I was just sharing with Pete, when I used to teach this class as a team leader, I would give you best practices. This is potential. In the last 2 years, I've been an agent. I'm like, okay, this is reality. So often what I've been teaching now is a beautiful combination of best practice systems and models and what's really happening. And I imagine the markets in Orlando and markets in Jacksonville are not all that different. Low inventory, high demand, multiple offers, days under contract, if not hours. If you don't have $10,000 to $15,000 in appraisal gap, you're probably not gonna get the house. Appraisal is the biggest thing that crush our deals because we can't control what the appraiser says. And the appraiser says we're gonna look at 6 months back, the buyer's looking 6 months forward. And that's a 20% variance. So we're in the same market, just quickly, okay. It's brutal. It's brutal out there, right? So a lot of what this is gonna be about is mindset. So in this, what I call Hunger Games of real estate, we can make sure that we're good right here. In the interim there, investor in some market centers, Keller Williams approved trainer, been a bold 15 times. I can probably, once upon a time, I was able to, I made those bowl balls into a rap, a little freestyle rap. That was fun. I still reference them, and my absolute favorite is Be Do Have. There's so many up there. So if you haven't been to Bold, I know sometimes people will tell you what their opinion of Bold. You owe it to yourself to create your own opinion of Bold. So go there and create your own opinion, and don't ask others for theirs. Just go do it, and then you can create your own opinion. MAPS business coaching, which is the one thing coaching. So I got it certified to be MAPS business coach. That was going to be my coaching ancillary because I've never left the coach until Ray and I got together and I said, okay, so that's still active. I just don't pursue it. Now I'm productivity coaching. Why are you guys here? This is
Learn from you.
no, seriously. This is 6 personal perspectives. Why are you guys here? What do you want out of today? You said learn from me. Thank you. I'll teach you something. I don't know if it's gonna be worthwhile, but I'll teach you something. Mark?
I've always felt like this class and Quantum Leap are the two most valuable fundamental classes that Keller Williams offers. I think it's a separator.
Yeah, in Quantum Leap, which they have KW Kids Scan, which is, and I'd say half of Quantum Leap is 6 perspectives. Then they bring in wealth building. Then they bring in who are you learning from? Who are your mentees? Who are your mentors? Who are your proteges? I'm having a hard time with this. I think Zoom and PowerPoint don't like each other.
I just asked Victoria to come back since.
Okay.
Just done something with it.
Okay, so Zoom, bear with us. You're not going to be able to see the PowerPoint for a while, but hopefully you can still hear us. Yeah, if you could, I don't know why that clicker doesn't work. What do you guys know about 6 personal perspectives? Someone told you to come, or you saw a flyer or a video or a promo. You said, yes, that's worth my Thursday morning for 3 hours.
Hey, Rick, is it also called the millionaire mindset? I thought somebody liked it for that.
So this class was written because Gary Keller, when people used to fly to Austin and go to whatever class he was teaching, he spent the first 1 or 2 or 3 hours of the majority of class talking about mindset, talking about the millionaire right. So when he would meet with his top 100 or his OPs, he'd say, okay, before we get into what you came for, let's talk about your mindset. And the course writers kept saying, Gary, you say this every time you start a class. What if we just created a course around that? That way we can stop filling it all over that. And that's how 6 perspectives are built. So it's probably original, his millionaire mindset. It says, these are the 6 perspectives. Are we good? Sure. Thank you. Give it up, Victoria.
Don't go far.
Yes, they're right here. Through coaching, if you want some additional resources, we are an active team. If you have Orlando referrals, Ray and I both have active teams in Orlando. We would love to be a candidate for those. More so, we've got our coaching company, the Coaching Advantage. We've got a podcast. What's nice about the podcast is it's intended for agents launching that career. So if you like podcasts, working out, driving, I'd love for you to listen to it. In fact, episodes 2 through 7 are me interviewing mega agents who each talk about each personal perspective. So commit to mastery. And then I talked to Tim Houck and said, how do you commit to mastery? Ashley Lunn, how do you apply the 80-20 principle? So you'll be able to hear what we learned today, episodes 2 through 7 of going real life, practical, running big businesses. So if you like it, give us a shout. And at the end of the day, I'm still an active KWU instructor. They take very seriously who they give this clicker to. And so if you like what you heard, please do me a favor, just go to KWU eval, let them know you like it. We are in a review world, and they like when I have good reviews, and they say you can keep teaching. If I don't get good reviews, they take it away. So that'll help me out. Well, let's get on to the meat of it. So the challenge, and part of the 8 hours that we trimmed back talks about a guy at the TED Talk, and he was on the Hudson River airplane. And he talks about the TED Talk. He was row 1 aisle. So he's sitting there in this airplane. Well, if you're row 1 aisle, you hear and see everything that's happening, not just what they want you to hear in the loudspeaker. So he hears the panic, he hears the frightening, he sees the flight attendants panic. He sees them calling and loved ones saying goodbye. And so he goes, for the next 6 minutes, I was going, this is it. I'm going down. And so he asked himself, what would you do? What would you do differently if you knew that this is your last day? If you knew this is your last week? Because this is everything that's going through his head. I keep pushing things off because there's always more time. And so the question, as we think about 6 perspectives, these principles will apply to any aspect of your life: marriage, health, relationships, money, kids, business. We're going to use the examples in business because it's a business class and a business meeting, yet take these perspectives elsewhere. So write this down. What would you like to accomplish in your life? Is it travel the world? Is it save the whales? Is it have a 7th level team? Is it have passive income that allows you to retire? Is it adopt? Is it start a foundation or a charity? And this is the aspect of going, tomorrow is not guaranteed. You know, we've seen this world get wiped out in the past 2 years. And a lot of people might have thought it was guaranteed, and all of a sudden it kicks in. Car accidents happen all day long. So this is not going to be a morbid class, I promise. So we won't talk about that. Yet it is perspective to get you in a place of deep thought, to go, what am I doing today? Am I really living my best life? And am I doing the things that matter most? Gang, I am sorry for this because apparently a previously edited class and I updated it for you guys, but I muted everything. So now I've got to unhide all these slides that I unhid. I think I taught one portion of it.
If you guys are interested in that TED Talk, it's a guy named Rick Elias.
Yes.
Lias, 18-minute TED Talk, and the concept is, I never keep good wine, meaning that because he recognized in going down that flight how important it was to cherish every moment, that when he has good wine now, he shares it with his friends instead of saving it. So it's really, really a cool, interesting TED Talk that you got 18 minutes. It is very much worth listening.
So it changes your perspective on the life you're living now.
Exactly.
It's kind of, what are you waiting for?
Right.
Yeah, don't save the good wine for a special occasion. What are we waiting for? Let's go celebrate life today.
So also, guys, at 1 o'clock, the class that I'm going to be teaching is how to buy 10 houses and have them paid off in 15 years. So it's something that I teach around the state, actually now around the country, because I'm going to go a couple places. But guys, as real estate agents, we get a shot the best deals. You know, I go on a listing,
I know.
my first thought is,
So this is
do I list it or
unhidden.
do I
I
buy
need
it?
to figure out how
Right?
to
That's my first thought.
unhide
And
See,
I'm going to give
that's,
you perspectives on the market,
it.
how to buy things,
It's
why
something
you should
that
buy them, how
was
to
done.
teach this to your database to create transactions. You know, I have a family that bought over 60 houses from me. Why is that? Because when they say, I'm looking for a good deal, the good deal is the house. But you have to be able to teach people that. And you have to be able to connect the dots. And that's what we're going to do from 1 to 2. And then we'll be open for questions. I want to help you guys become your own wealth builders. You know, real estate's great. I've been doing real estate for 18 years, and it's provided me with a lot. I run a $50 million team. That's false. I really don't run it anymore. Victoria runs my $50 million team, so I can do this. So I'm able to be with people to provide opportunity for all of my agents, my 600 agents in those 4 market centers.
So
I'm
I'm
going
gonna
to
share
teach
this.
them this. And when Margaret, Mark, and Pete asked me to come over, guys, you need to create your own path wealth. And it starts with you, whether you're an MCA or a team leader or an agent or a front desk person or it doesn't matter. Because everybody should own real estate. right? And in this market, I hate to say it, we're in Florida. It's gonna be a good market for a little while. Inflation, raising interest rates, that's all part of it. And I'll talk about that. But just know that rents are going up as well. So that's what we're gonna talk about at 1 o'clock today. For lunch, okay. So anyway, so Rick's gonna teach his class until 12. We're gonna break for lunch, but just make sure that you come back for that. And I will share my slide deck with you. So if you do want to do something for your database, have a vesting class, you can actually just walk through it. It's pretty simple. It's not pretty simple. Victoria made it very nice. I'm not that guy. I'm not Rick. I can't unhide stuff. And so it's cool because you hit a button, this pops up, and you hit a button, and all you have to do is read that. And it makes you look really smart. But ultimately, when people are thinking about investing in houses with you, you should know what you're talking about. So during my class, there are no stupid questions because we were all new once. I was agent one day in the business, scared to death, just like everybody in here. And so was Margaret, and so was everybody else in here. So I'm going to take you through, and we're going to learn this together. But it's something that should be able to change your business. So just know that.
Thank you for filling that time. That's beautiful. How much do you have stowed away if you do it again? If you would like to become an approved trainer, here's a lesson. Come in, work out the kinks before. So what happened is I hid the slides and then I saved it on my desktop, and by putting it over here, it can't unhide for whatever subscription to it. So we're good. If everyone can see this, we're going to work off of this. It's not going to be a cool presentation, but you're going to get the great content. So we are going to start at 9, end at 12. We're going to have a 10-minute break because sometimes people need breaks because we're realtors and things are going on and you guys are sitting still for 3 hours, and that's a lot to ask you to do. And you will not offend me if you have to get up and take care of life, wherever life shows up, or business. So please just make this for you. This class will work if you participate. If I'm the only one talking, we're still going to get through it. Yet I promise you're going to get a lot more, and my energy will stay up if we can engage. So I'll ask you to ask some questions. And we're doing 8 hours of content in 3 hours. So let me ask you, what's the difference between those who achieve at a high level versus not much at all? You see high producers, they're going to be in family reunion in a couple weeks. You see Simon Sinek, and you see all these top people with their jets on the Shark Tank. So what's different between all the people who achieve at the highest level versus those who don't? It's the participant commitment. Commitment to probably the vision, to the activities, the right activities. Yeah.
Focus.
Focus. Focus. Who said that? Focus on what, Pete?
What's important.
The right things. Yeah. Yep.
Risk takers.
They're willing to take a risk. There was an investor of mine. He said, "Scared money is dead money." So we got to go take a risk. I'm not saying be reckless. Let's take calculated risks. Let's have some reserves. But let's not build a safety blanket for no risk taking. So they're willing to take a risk with themselves out there. A lot of you guys did that once upon a time. Isn't getting your real estate license and doing it as a realtor full-time taking a risk? Yeah. So you already have that DNA covered. Now we got to figure out if you're doing the right things and you have the right folks, the right commitment. Anything else? Consistency. Everyone say that word together. Consistency. I'm probably going to say it again. One of my favorite coaching analogies is you can't pop popcorn for 10 seconds and expect to eat popcorn. You got to pop that sucker for 90 minutes or 90 seconds. And what happens if I put popcorn in the microwave for 30 seconds? I get impatient and I stop. Do I have popcorn? Nope. 30 seconds? You got a good microwave. And my 3-year-old, my 5-year-old, and 6-year-old, they just stare at it. We got a level microwave. They just stare at it. They're like, popcorn. When's it gonna be done? Now, as agents, I wonder how many times we work our database for 30 seconds. Or we work our farm for 30 seconds. And we're going, oh, I've got no popcorn. Switch, next. Now, if we know it takes 90 seconds to cook popcorn, could we do 30 seconds, stop, 30 seconds, stop, 30 seconds, stop, and have our 90 seconds accomplished? Yes. No. We got to start over every time we stop it. So I want you to think about that when you're doing your activities, when you're doing your calls, your postcards, your farming, or FISBOs, your expires, your open house, whatever you do, commit to it. For 90 seconds, or whatever that time analogy is for you. So yes, consistency, you hit a buzzword. Anything else? Intentional. Kind of goes to what Pete said, intentional with the right things. What are we doing with our time? Right? How much did this class cost you guys today? Cost you time. So then the next question is, what's your time worth? And if you don't think about your time as being worth something, then we're probably not as intentional with our time as we could be. If you want to know what your time is, take your annual income goal divided by the hours you intend to work. That's your hourly wage. If you say I want to make 100 rands and a 40-hour work week is 2,080, then your hourly wage is $48 an hour. Therefore, this class costs you just shy of $150. Now, Emily, right?
Yes.
If you were to give me $150, would you want a return on that money? If you're in business, you want $1. Now, how much return would you want for that 150?
At a minimum, I would want what I invested.
So if I can break even at minimum, right? But if it's just minimum, hopefully you're going to learn some things. We'll see more.
Yeah.
But if you go dollar in, dollar out, dollar in, dollar out, that's a lot of work to break even, right? So the goal that I'm going to encourage you guys to do, and I'm going off script a little bit, is everything you do, every ROI and every dollar you put in, and every time and minute you put in, minimum of 4-to-1 ratio. Which means this class costs you, if you want to make 100 grand, $150. I want you to be able to take what you learned today and apply it and see how you're going to earn 600 minimum from it. And I say that because as we go to classes, it's very easy, especially in a company like this, to become an education junkie.
Infotainment.
Yeah, and we're going to go through that as one of the perspectives of how do we learn for earning's sake, not learn for learning's sake. So yes, you guys nailed it. We're going to talk about your mindset, your attitudes, and your approach to life. There's 6 different chapters. I'm on page 9 that we're going to go through, and these are the 6 perspectives. Committing to self-mastery. Someone read that for me just so I know you're paying attention. I am. Yeah, going to nail it. I'm going to master this. Now, what is this? It's going to vary for everybody. Step 2, commit to the 80-20 principle. I am
Going to focus on my big rocks.
big rocks. You guys heard that before? Has anyone not heard of my big rocks? Some people, yes, no? Okay, we're going to go through that. So we're going to go through and break down what that phrase actually means of the big rocks. Moving from E to P, I am. Thank you. Everyone's quiet. It's like, he's going to make me really say everything. That's how we keep you awake. Making learning based part of the foundation, part of your action plan. You guys are here, so I already know you're learning based, most of you. I am.
Willing to be taught. I always pursue learning.
You're willing to be taught. Has anyone ever gone into, or maybe you've seen somebody who doesn't have that willingness to be taught? I do it my way. You can't teach me a new thing. Not in my market. So we're going to go through the open learning posture. Removing your limiting beliefs. Yeah, what's holding you back? Sometimes the environment you grew up in holds us back, doesn't it? Sometimes the conversations from our loved ones hold us back. Sometimes our history and our background holds us back. Sometimes our fear of success holds us back. My little brother, I say little, he's 34. He works for Amazon. And we had a real conversation about 7 months ago. And he's like, I feel like I have imposter syndrome. Like, I don't feel like I deserve the things I have. And he didn't feel worthy. And it was his limiting belief that he said, you worked hard. You've done great. And for him, he's like, it still feels strange. It was almost this fear of success. And he had that imposter syndrome. And that might be a limiting belief you guys have back of like, I can't fathom that $1 million or 500,000 or 250 because I grew up struggling. That's all my parents struggled with. I feel almost bad. These are limiting beliefs. Now we're talking about money is good for the good it can do. Money doesn't change somebody, right? You guys have heard some of the money Money can't grow on trees. It's the root. Yeah, there's some negative connotations society tells about money. It's actually, money's not the root of, this phrase isn't money's the root of all evil. Pete knows it, he just mouthed it, I think. The love of money is the root of all evil. So they give the example of, if I have this brick, is this brick a good thing or a bad thing? You don't know what it is. If I throw a brick through a window and steal a TV, it's a bad thing. If it's the first foundation to a children's hospital, it's a good thing. The brick just is. The money just is. Power just is. It will expose who you already are. So every one of you deserve whatever you want in your imagination. That's a bold law. You get what you deserve in your imagination. And the final thing is, let's be accountable. It's mine and I own it. So let's do a reality check. And we're going to use 2022 units sold. How many of you have a business plan that say, I know how many units you need to sell? You already have it, write it down. We're going to use that. If you don't have it, be equally as proud. I need some help. Okay, thank you. What's your name?
Catherine.
Catherine, who's with Catherine? Thank you. What's your name? Chris and Catherine need some help.
There.
See, Catherine, this is good. You got other people, now it's safe. So Chris, Catherine, Karen, there's a bunch of C's and K names in here. Chris, Catherine, Karen. Anyone else? Okay, so let's spend some time doing this real quick. Really quick, to at least a ballpark. Do you have an income goal you would like to earn? What's that number? You mind saying it? That way I can help you get to a number.
Well, do you want my dream or the reality?
2022. 2022 stretch goal.
Okay, 150.
Stretch goal. Does that stretch you? Does it kind of make you throw up in your mouth when you say it out loud?
Well, let's say 200.
Okay, so that's still stretching.
Yeah.
You just gave yourself a raise. Nice job. So 200. How about you?
How much in the, making money in the house, so.
Okay.
Anything. would be-
Okay.
That's mine. So let's say 100,000.
Okay. Does that make you get a little bit vomity?
Yes.
Good. I want that. Why do you think I want you guys to throw up in your mouth?
Because if we're not uncomfortable, we're not growing.
Yeah. You gotta leave your comfort zone. All right. We don't. The purpose of goals aren't to be met. Doesn't that sound strange? Anyone ever heard that from Gary Keller? When you set a goal, you shouldn't actually set to meet your goal. Why would he say that?
Keep pushing yourself.
Keep pushing yourself. Yeah, goals aren't intended to be met. In fact, it's almost like Lucy and Snoopy. By the time you really feel you're close to your goal, bam, push it out again. The purpose of a big goal is to create big actions. Setting a goal that makes you a little bit queasy says, I'm going to go put an action plan in to go hit that. And you're going to do more than what you thought you could do if you played it safe. And they talk about that in the one thing. If you only make it up halfway to Mount Everest, you're amongst the top 1% of all mountains. If you set your dreams for Mount Everest and you fail and only make half of it, you're amongst the top 1%. That's what I'm asking you to throw up in your mouth a little bit. And I forget your name already, it starts to see your K. Karen, what's your income goal? Okay, so 100, and you guys might be able to do this quicker, but in our market, to net 100 grand, you're probably looking at 24 deals, give or take. So we don't have to quite double it to 48 because the margins change. That's a whole different class. We could say closer to about 40 deals. So if you need a number to at least use this exercise, start with 24 units and 40 units. Is that fair? And the reason I went to units is because that's what we control. Whatever your goal was, I'm going to ask you to convert it to units. Most of us in this room, is anyone level 7, level 6? You've got a whole team in an empire besides Margaret and Mark. Okay, so overall, solo agents or smaller teams are a part of a team. Perfect. That way the audience stays consistent. we're not gonna worry about volume, commissions, profit yet. Because would you turn down $150,000 listing right now? Nope. We would love the $500,000 listing, but if someone says 150, we're like, it's gonna mess up my numbers. I need my volume, my price point to stay at such, so no thank you. We're not gonna do that. But is the work and the effort for doing a 150 listing or an 850 listing the same dollars for the same hourly wage? She's saying no. Tell me more about that.
I imagine that for an $800,000 listing, there's a little more work involved as far as marketing and.
There could be, because we're gonna maybe do the aerials and the broker open and
That's
the,
where my brain
so you went a luxury plan versus, so maybe even if we say.
almost like concierge style
Yeah.
service.
Yeah.
if that makes
So
sense.
there could be small tweak, but maybe if we just said 300 to 150, would you say about the same work?
Yeah.
What do you thoughts back there? What's your name?
Mine.
Whoever had their hand up.
I would say that usually the lower price listing, you do more work. Absolutely.
Why is that, Emily?
Because usually with higher prices, you make more money and they can, I know this some, I guess, kind of throw money at the problem if there's repairs or appraisal gap or something like that, where with a lower price listing, they don't have as much money to play with, I guess.
Yeah, you gotta kind of figure things out differently, right?
They're also usually more experienced at the higher.
They've been there before. It's not their first time. They'll just, you don't have to sit down and explain every detail. They just more trust it and go. So maybe to get it. But that's what I'm kind of going of. Hopefully in a different class, your listing protocol is the same. When I teach business planning, we're going, look, when you get a listing, push the listing button engaged, and hopefully you just become in rhythm. Do my door knocking, scheduling the sign install, scheduling the photography, doing my door knocking, posting the open house, blasting the social media, telling my newsletter. And it's just because that's what we do for listings. Moral of that story, that was a long-winded way to say we're going to focus on units, because that's what you can control. When you call a database, they give you an appointment, the appointment leads to a contract, contract leads to a close. You control your calls, your appointments. Agreed? Okay, does anyone still feel like I don't want to work in units count? We good? Let's move forward. Let's move forward. We stop in Keller Williams classes and talk about aha. You guys know why we do ahas? I used to think it was to give the instructor an attaboy. You do it so great, keep it up. And it does feel good. Yet we don't do ahas for that. We do ahas as adult learners. You'll retain at best, if you're focused, 20% of the stuff today. So the ahas are you to review in short little sprints what you've just heard and repeat it so it'll stick. And when you hear someone else's aha, you're like, oh yeah, that was good too, and it's gonna stick. So this is for retention to create action plans. So in the first 40 minutes, besides come prepared with a better slideshow, Rick, what have been your ahas or takeaways? Just in 30 or 40 minutes that have made you think a little bit differently than you were thinking at 9 o'clock. Anybody have anything? Yeah, Mark?
It was your personal touch. It was the scared money is dead. I never heard that.
Yeah. Yeah, what was inflation last year? You guys know? It's national inflation was 8% last year. My neighbor's a contractor, and he's got a safe, and he brags of his duffel bag of money in his safe. And I was like, that safe just lost 8% last year. Yeah, it's ironic, it's safe. Scared money is dead money. And if your money did not grow by 8% last year, your net worth went down. Or your power to purchase went down. So scared money is dead money. Thank you, Mark. Anything else? The good stuff's coming in. Yes, sir.
The value of everything that we learned today, all the, little things that we learned are going to be affected by our mindset going in.
The value of what you get is affected by your mindset going in. Elaborate on that.
If we are coming here, and this Rick Bosley guy who's had a lot of success, spits out a lot of great knowledge, it doesn't mean anything if my mindset's not right to receive it.
Gotcha. Be willing to learn.
Your success is your success. How do I make something mine? How does this change my life?
Yeah, I love that. So an exercise I do when I take a class like this is I'm taking my notes. I just draw an A with a circle, looks like an Avenger. And that tells me I've got to take action on that. Sometimes you ever been to a class or a family reunion week? I mean, how many journals do we have filled after reunion? And you're like, I'm exhausted. And you come back for reunion, you put your journal back on the table, you get back to work because you have 1,500 things that are waiting for you. And then for the next 6 months, it collects dust. So when you go to a class like this or reunion or Ignite, adventure, action. I gotta take action. Take action. Yeah, Pete.
The purpose of a goal is not to make it.
Yeah, that's weird, right? Thank you to the team leaders in the room. Anybody else? They're like, I'm here for you, Rick. We're gonna keep it. Yes.
I do want to mention the popcorn. So you can't pop popcorn for 10 seconds and expect it to pop, but most importantly, that you can't do it in increments of 30 seconds because that is the most common thing. We get really excited and then it doesn't work. And then we get really excited and it doesn't work. And then you're asking yourself why it didn't work. And it's because you're not consistent. So I love that.
Yep. So we completed our team leader cycle. We'll get you guys talking, I promise. Okay, so we're gonna start talking of commit to mastery. Self-mastery is the possession of great knowledge, skills, and habits that make you the master of you. I'm the master of me, or I'm pursuing to be the master of me, but you're the master of you. So when you commit to self-mastery, you know your goals. We talked about that right now. 3 people now have a little more clarity, not a very rough version of their goals. Everyone else, you already had your goals. So you guys, at least engage, check. Now, self-mastery says you know your strengths and you know your weaknesses. Can we agree that we are all different human beings, different backgrounds, different strengths, different weaknesses? So we could have the same goal in the same office, in the same market, in the same farm, and have different strengths and weaknesses, therefore have radically different plans to get us there. Agreed? So until you know what your strengths and weaknesses are, you're kind of running off someone else's playbook. So part of this is understanding what your strengths and weaknesses are. And then once you have that, you know how to work with your strengths and weaknesses. There's a book called Outliers. Anyone read Outliers? What's Outliers?
It's,
It's the last time she raises her hand.
I love Malcolm Gladwell. He's
Yeah.
awesome, but Outliers basically. Let me summarize it.
Who helped her out?
People that stand. People that stand out.
Yeah, they're the 1%ers,
Right.
right? They're the outliers. They're the people who have mastered something. Who else would their hand out?
Hey, Summer, I think it's Drake. If Drake keeps doing what he's doing, respect to what he wants to do, martial arts, he'll be an outlier.
Yeah.
It's basically, the concept is by repetition, over and over and over, you master your craft. The analogy I always remember from is the Beatles. They did Germany years and years and years, mastered for several years. 10,000 repetitions, right?
10,000 hours.
10,000 hours.
That's the book. There is research. It says if you don't master something, 10,000 hours. That's a lot of hours. Remember what I just said a full-time 40-hour work week is per year? 2008. If you do something 40 hours a week for 5 years, congratulations, you mastered it. Gary Keller, he plays the guitar. He's got a band, the Gary Keller Band. Of course, it's him. He's like, you be my band, you be my band. And we're going to call it the Gary Keller Band. And he plays the guitar. And he started playing the guitar in his 50s. But he always wanted to play the guitar. While he's building the #1 company in the world. And so he talks about this, like, I knew I wasn't going to master the guitar. So instead of me learning every chord, I learned 1 chord. And I just have repetition of that 1 chord. So guess what the Gary Keller Band, the only music they play is music that fits his 1 chord. He wants to rock and roll. But he's like, I can't play everything, but I can play this chord really well. And he just sits up there and plays that chord. Now it's his way of going, I'm gonna go master this chord. So keep in mind that depending where you're at in your real estate business, 10,000 hours to mastery. And it's a journey, not an event. So the question, as we talk about self-mastery, everyone has their goal. Write that goal down. And the exercise is list 3 things that might get in your way this year from achieving that
How
goal.
many years is 10 years?
If you did it full time, it's gonna be 5 years. If we lead gen for 2 hours a day and 10 hours a week, that would be 40 hours a month. That would be 480 hours a year. Right? Math is good? So then, if you did something 2 hours a day, it would take you 20 years. So know that mastery, I mean, when we say mastery, we're talking Bruce Lee, Jimi Hendrix, the mastery. Some of the elite athletes started there 3 years old and did it over and over and over again. It's interesting in the book, I'm paraphrasing here, something that really stood out to me was sometimes right time, right place. And of the top 10 most wealthy people in the world, 6 of them were males born between 1920 and 1940, right at the back end of the Industrial Revolution. Right time, right place. Bill Gates, right time, right place. Lived in Stanford University, got access to computers before 2 people had computers, NASA and Stanford. And Bill Gates got in there and got access and got a learning curve in front of everybody else. Right time, right place. Yeah, Pete.
Just think about Tom Brady.
Yep.
Started doing passes when he was 6 years old. So he was a big novice, with no true skill set at that point. But the number of hours that he's put in over time, if he mastered it probably 10 years ago, he started not knowing how to throw a pass.
Right. And at 30, maybe not Tom Brady, you guys are freak of nature. I was gonna say he's probably a better athlete than he was at 44, but he's mastered reading the field and execution and delivery and release and everything else. Appreciate the journey and not the event. And I see it, I feel it, we get impatient. Anyone ever felt that way? Oh, my popcorn faster. Appreciate the journey. And if Gary Keller picked up that guitar and just kept goofing off and winging it, is he actually pursuing closer to mastery? No, he was intentional and focused on the right thing. So this is a mindset as you go back to your business going, what's my day look like today? Am I intentional? Am I focused? So does everyone have their 3 obstacles? What might get in the way or slow you down or hinder you from achieving your goal? You guys have your 3? Everyone's playing? You playing at a 10? If not, take a couple more minutes. If we can't build this, then the class halts for you. Okay. We're pretty good at social separating here right now, but we're gonna do a little bit of a buddy system. And I want you to find a partner or a triad and share your obstacles. And then talk about, of those obstacles that you feel might hinder you from achieving your goals this year, what are your strengths to overcome those obstacles? What are your weaknesses that make you vulnerable to those obstacles? We're going to master our strengths and our weaknesses to the actual barriers that are between us and our goal. You don't have any questions on what that discussion is going to sound like? Hi, partner. Hi, friend. This is my goal. These are the things that I think might slow me down, but you know what? I'm a great communicator. I'm focused. I wake up at 5 a.m. I'm healthy. I've got this. Or you know what? I'm dual career and I take care of the kids and everything else. I just don't know if I have the time. All right. There's some strengths. There's some weaknesses. Make sense? We're gonna take about 5 minutes. I've got 9:51. I'll let you know when time is up. Talk amongst yourselves. About 2 more minutes. All right, 30 seconds. All right, bring it in, bring it in. Quick up, Scout. All right. So Matt, got any impression? I sound like you're Now let's talk about the highlight reel of your conversation. Hopefully from someone we haven't heard from yet, because I heard you guys know how to talk. So that's not the issue. So let me hear some ahas from somebody just from thinking about that and having that conversation about your self-mastery and attaching your goals to your strengths, to your weaknesses, to your obstacles. What are some of your takeaways or ahas? Yes, ma'am.
My self-mastery, and I think our team over here also, is financial financial mastery because, you know, you can keep working and setting goals and doing all this stuff, but I'm really, it's my weakness. So that's why I'm also want to be my 10,000 hour rule. Is like knowing where all my dollars are. Do I need to keep pushing that goal? What do I want my lifestyle to look like? How much money does that cost? And then basing my yearly goals on those goals so that my life is more balanced. So having financial mastery and just really understanding how each part of my business, and we're all different ages, so it was interesting to hear our different financial plans.
I love that because the purpose of business is to fund a perfect life. Right? And self-mastery is you identifying that's a weakness. And until I can overcome that obstacle with that weakness, I'm not going to actually be able to fulfill my life's mission. And so then your action is going to be identify a growth plan, specifically around your financial awareness, right? Growth plan could be books to read, classes you attend, habits that you're going to incorporate. I did the one thing goal setting retreat with my wife a couple months back. And I love the analogy they use of we need a relationship with our money and a relationship with our goals. Is anyone dating anybody right now? You're in like that weird, awkward dating phase. Everyone's here pretty strongly committed or strongly single. So once upon a time, you were in that beginning dating stage. So I go on a date. This is my date right here. We have a great time. And then I don't talk to her for weeks or months.
Jerk.
How's that relationship?
There is none.
There is no relationship. And fierce conversations say the conversation is the relationship. And so if we need a relationship with our money and our goals, I'm wondering how often are you hanging out with them? How often are you talking? How often are you visiting? If I want a strong relationship, we're gonna talk with them daily, aren't we? Hi, smooches, miss you. All right. We're gonna spend some time together, hopefully weekly. We'll at least go on a date a week. We're gonna have quality time, maybe once a month. Let's do a getaway. Let's do something meaningful besides just dinner. That's how the relationship builds. So part of your journey is gonna go, we gotta figure out how to increase my relationship. I feel like a real keynote speaker there. Thank you for that. And that's a huge Achilles heel for so many people, especially when you go from employee to entrepreneur. No one ever teaches you about that back end finance because we're used to working, getting paid. Thank you, rinse, repeat. Now we got to bill, budget, expense management, write-offs, taxes. What? So thank you for that because I promise you're not alone. Anybody else? Yes.
I really enjoy, and I don't know if this is weird, but I really enjoy hearing that others have limiting beliefs sometimes. So when the three of us are sitting together at totally different stages in our careers, talking about the limiting beliefs that we have, and you were talking earlier about your brother who has imposter syndrome, and I think it's always nice just to be like, oh, everyone feels that? Okay, great. So realizing that our limiting beliefs, it's all about the positive inputs that we're doing daily. And if we allow that negative to keep coming in, then that's going to strengthen our limiting beliefs. Rather than if we turn that into a positive input on the daily, that's going to start to quiet those limiting
Yeah,
beliefs.
and that's you're kind of taking right out of the concept. So we're gonna go there. Perfect. This sets the stage for the rest of the class. So you guys are perfectly in line. One more. I'm looking at this pie chart. Someone over here. Yes, ma'am.
So we were discussing, both Megan and I are newer agents, so it's really accumulating that knowledge at this point and what direction we're going to go. So our confidence isn't quite, where we would like to master that. And we feel those things will help us once we find a clear path and, set our goals, which you helped me do today. Thank you.
That was easy.
And then, and then as we accumulate the knowledge, then we know which direction and we'll feel more confident.
Right. And which direction? Right? Dave Ramsey jokes that if you're doing something in the wrong direction, even though you're making good time, you're backtracking. So we got to go make sure the right direction. Even if it's slower than you would like to go, but if it's in the right direction, you're making more progress. And I had a coach share with me one time that really helped: progress over perfection. Sometimes we are impatient sons of guns and we want perfection and appreciate the progress that's made. Now, we don't know if we're making progress unless we track it, right? I think about the weight loss journey. if you're working hard to lose weight, then you're probably excited to step on the scale to see if you're actually losing weight. Anyone ever been on that journey? I want to check my progress. Am I in the right direction? When we're not focused on doing healthy things, I put the scale in the closet. Like, I don't want to see it. Leave that nonsense alone. Tracking money. Anyone ever chose to just choose the ignorance is bliss method for your bank account? Like, I don't want to see. I'm just gonna clear sweet. Works. Yeah, so appreciate the progress over perfection. And we don't know if we're making progress unless we track it. Perfect. Who's 6 months or newer in business? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What else? You guys are like scared. 4, 6. Who's 6 to 1 year? 7, 8, 9, 10. Who's 1 to 3 years? Who's over 3? I guess everybody else. Cool. Over 5? Okay, except for the back of the room, we're pretty much under 5 years and then over 5 years. Did you guys have to sit that way? The newest up front? Okay, chapter perspective 2, the 80-20 principle. Here's the truth. There's a pattern of predictable imbalance. It's called the 80-20 principle. And this is from the Millionaire Real Estate Investor. By the way, we all should be real estate investors. Your mindset should be ready to be an investor. The first buyer for every single listing appointment is who? You. You are the first buyer. This is a book to get you thinking about being a real estate investor. You guys still doing the 401k match here? Mark? No? They don't do that in real estate? We don't have pensions or 401ks? You should have saw the panic.
Don't look at me, look at her.
Which means we've got to be able to figure out how we're going to retire one day, because a company that has a W-2s isn't going to do it. We've got to think about that with our goals. We can't think about our goals of how much am I going to spend this year, because then you're going to be broken old one day. Different class. In fact, that class will be today at 1 o'clock, I'm afraid. I encourage you guys to stay there to think about being an investor. Even if you don't know how to put your light bill on next month, go to that class, because we're focusing on mindset today. So in your handout, you have an excerpt on page 29 called Big Rocks Come First. Can someone in their greatest projection voice read that for me, please? Actually, you know what? It's fairly long. Read it to yourselves and underline your highlight there. I'll give you a minute or two. You have an extra handout?
Yeah. No, but Lauren does.
Thank you. I'll know you're done when your eyes are up.
What did you do before you got into real estate?
I was a social worker. I was in foster care, helping kids.
I was a teacher, and that was such a teacher statement.
Oh,
I'll
really?
know you're done when your eyes are up.
KW did it. All right, so there's the big rocks. Now we know where big rocks come from. All right, we got that exercise. Now we can't, that's a figurative, that's a visual for it. What are the big rocks in your business or in your life? You guys know? What are the big rocks?
And Wi-Fi would say family.
Family, big rock. Yep. Do our actions reflect that?
It could be better.
Could be better, right? Maybe you have an Avenger now. What would that look like if it was better? If you were intentional about making it a bigger rock, what would change in your schedule? An example is we have our babysitter fixed Thursday. It won't be tonight. I'm here. Thursdays, 5:30, come to the house. Fixed babysitter. Fixed date night. Date my wife. Because if we don't have it happen with a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 6-year-old, it's never gonna just happen. We've gotten intentional about, we need to, and sometimes, no joke, we have sat in a parking lot and watched a Netflix show together in the truck. We need an idea of that. What are we gonna do? Like, I don't know, I'm tired. Let's watch a show. Ozark. She hates it.
That's good family.
Oh,
show.
I love this. She likes Hallmark. I like that. Okay, so we have the big rock. She said family time. How about in business? What are your big rocks in business? Most important things, of all the things that have to be done. What's the most important things in business? Lead generation. Ding, ding, ding. By the way, if you never don't know the answer, just say that. You'll be fine. Yeah, so Bold tells us we have 5 job descriptions as realtors. What are they? 5. You already said 1. Lead gen. What comes after lead gen?
Sell houses.
Yes, that's the result of the job description. Appointments. That's actually right here.
Lead follow-up.
Lead follow-up. Once we lead gen, sometimes they go, you know what? Nice to meet you. I would want to sell my house. Please come over. Like sometimes, right? Most of the time, the lead follow-up is where that's going to happen. In fact, they say 70% of your appointments don't follow up. But if we don't lead gen, who are we following up to? So lead gen, lead follow-up, go on appointments. Then we get in the trenches. Negotiate. Negotiate with co-ops. Sometimes we're negotiating with the buyers and sellers, aren't we? Sometimes we're negotiating with appraisers. So we're negotiations. And then the 5th one, you guys are doing it right now. Script, role play, and growth. Those are your 5 job descriptions. Those are your big rocks. So when you look at your schedule and look at your calendar, that should be consistently done every day. In real estate, what tends to be an afterthought if you have a crazy, chaotic day? Lead gen. We're usually not going to drop the ball on an appointment. I'm really busy. I'm just going to not show up that listing appointment today. That's probably not going to happen. The negotiations are probably not going to drop the ball because we're in the trenches, like at showtime. So what keeps getting burned is lead follow-up, lead gen. If we have time, we'll talk about the strategy we use to be able to just make that the habit. And I'll do it real quick. Every morning at 8:15 to 8:30, when I was a team leader, we called it a standing meeting. Everyone stands in the front, rapid fire. What do you do today? What's the most important thing? Next, teams in, ready, break. And gave everyone just a quick jolt to the heart of going, these are the most important things. These are the big rocks. As an agent, we just said what your big rocks are. So what do we ask them every morning? How many appointments do you need to go on this month to hit your goal? 6. Great. How many have you been on? 0. It's February 3rd. Okay. Now we have clarity of the score. Now we have clarity for you to stay on track. You need at least 1, if not 2, in the next 4 days. What are you going to do today to move forward to the appointment? To make sure that they're thinking with crystal clear clarity about their lead gen and about their lead follow-up. And yesterday we had a new agent, his 3rd time on the call. It's like, well, today I got to go down to the board and get the E-key set up, and then I'm going to go do this, and then that, and then this. And I was like, nothing about that was part of your big rocks. You filled your day full of gravel and sand and stones and water. It's the goal that we have for you guys here is to get clarity of what are your big rocks. The difference of the question we said between high achievers and those who don't is they have clarity on the most important things that have the greatest impact. Now we think about the 80-20 principle, it shows up everywhere. This Capitol Wall, what are they known as the market center? Top 20%. Straight from this principle. And I haven't done the math here, but I've done it in other market centers. This top 20% sells, give or take, 80% of all the homes. True? When we did the numbers, it was like 76%, 78%, 81%. Whoa, it's alive and well. 20% of your agents will sell 80% of your houses. Now, I might be talking to people who are in the top 20% of the bottom 80. But here's the good news if you're in the bottom 80. We have a new 80-20, don't we? 20% of you will sell more than the other 80% of them. And we're talking about extreme Pareto. And the guy who founded this principle is Vilfredo Pareto. He did it because he realized that 20% of the people account for 80% of the wealth in the country. 20% of the people sell 80% of the homes. And 20% of your activities will yield you 80% of your results. And 20% of your database will account for 80% of your sales. And if you have a sphere of influence of 300 people and they get you 30 units, you're getting 10% return, right? Some using them, some referring them. A 10% sphere of influence is good. I've seen 15, I've seen less. 10 is very doable, it's very manageable. Anyone have something around 10% conversion from sphere? Margaret, what do you guys have?
Yeah,
Okay.
I can't really answer that like that. We only do Spear though. We don't
All
do
Spear.
that. We're all Spear.
Well,
So
and
100% of our conversion comes from Spear.
100% of your sales come from Sphere. And new agents who are building their business, 99% of all successful agents will tell you that the biggest source of their business is their Sphere. So if you have a little bit of limiting beliefs that you want to go talk to strangers before you talk to your Sphere, you're taking a long way up the road.
Yeah, come talk to us first.
Yeah. And the size and the quality of your database, and I'm going to say Sphere, is a direct correlation to the size and the quality of your business and your income. So 40 units, right? 24. Go get a database and a Sphere of 240 people and 400 people. And make that mission one. Because once I have a database, then I can actually work the database, and then I can actually get results. Make sense? So as we teach it business planning, if it's 40 units, I'm going to say, well, 80% of your business will come from your Sphere. That's 32. So in fact, 320 is your number. We're coaching to be 320. Then you have 320 people that will give you 32 units. And 20% of your efforts will give you 80% of your results. You're seeing how this is alive and well in this business? How this works out, and this happened, I'll do the math in a second. I told you I went from agent to coach. And with that, I went from 50 hours a week to 5 hours a week. I went from level 2 to level 6. And that essentially says I'm out of production, but the Bosley team is still doing it. He says, I want you to extreme Pareto your database. Extreme Pareto says, as we have 320 people giving us 32, then let's do that again. And let's say we've got 320 times 0.2. I bet 64 of them gave us 26. Well, let's keep extreme Paretoing. 64 times 0.2 says I bet 13 gave us 21. We actually top grade our database. So he says, I know you can't do everything with 320 people like you used to, Rick, but I need to make sure you're spending high quality time with your 13, with your extreme Pareto. Because you went from 50 hours to 5 hours and you don't have a whole lot of time to do everything, but I need you to do extreme Pareto. So as you guys think about your sphere of influence, can you extreme Pareto it? And a really cool conversation is to call these 13 people and thank them for being who they are. Did an exercise, and I scrubbed my entire day. I have 4,600 names and commands. Of that, we believe 350 people know us by name, profession, and would use us if the opportunity presented itself. We went through each one. What's your name?
Christina.
And Christina, thank you. Because looking back at it, you're in my top 10. You're the top 10 most important person in my entire business. Thank you for being you. How can I support you and be top 10 in your world? Powerful lead gen call, isn't it? How does Christina feel after that call? She wants to say that top word. And now I'm gonna show her I appreciate her, not just tell her I appreciate her. And she's getting the VIP stuff. So Ray's one of the best I know at this. Ray's also level 6. We've got the Orlando Magic. Ray gets a skybox, holds 20 people about 3 or 4 times a year. Who goes with him? His extreme burrito. And he says, skybox, everything's on me. You got free drinks, you got free food. This is great. It's gonna be a great day. You are here because each of you gave me multiple referrals last year, and I couldn't do what I do unless you helped me do that. So thank you. So he's telling them, you're not here because we're friends that go back 20 years. You're here because you gave me business last year. And I want you to be here again next year. So he has no problem spoiling and reminding people how much they matter and how to stay there. This is the 80-20 principle, and it is alive and well everywhere we go. And starting off in your business, you have to know what your 20% activities are. Because if you spend time doing your 80% activities and your calendar is filled with sand, gravel, water, and your big rocks are sitting out there, you try to shove them in at the end, you're just not going to make that much progress. That make sense? One of my favorite illustrations of the 80-20 principles, a guy named Chris Suarez. Chris Suarez owns experiential real estate, is now partner with Ben Kinney for Place. He was an OP and team leader that went out to do production. He made a mission, I'm going to net $1 million by following the red book, the MREA to a T. And he is a models guy. And he netted his $1 million in his 4th to 5th year. So it took him from, I've got this thing mastered, because I've been team leading and OPing forever. Now I'm gonna go follow models to a T, and somewhere in that 4th or 5th year, he netted $1 million. He talks about it in the One Thing podcast, and what I love is he says, I was working 50 hours a week to earn 1 million, right? It's good living, good hourly wage. He says, when I hit it, I woke up in the same house, in the same bed, got in the shower at the same time, had the same morning routine, drank the same coffee, did the same thing, drove the same car, to the same office, and had the same meeting. And he kind of said, okay, I've achieved the goal, now what? Get it feeling like, I need a new something. So he said, if I'm growing it off of models, I'm going to test this 80-20 model. And the 80-20 principle says, theoretically, I should be able to spend 20% of my time, 10 hours, and still earn $800,000. Right? Theoretically. So his morning huddle that morning was going, team, effective now, I'm going to be here 10 hours a week, and I'm giving up these tasks. And you have $200,000 salary cap to hire whoever you need to do these tasks. And if you want one $200,000 employee, if you want two $100,000 employees, that's fine. If you want four $50,000 employees, whatever. But I'm no longer going to do these tasks, and you have $200,000 to figure it out. Because he said, I like this job better than this job. Don't you guys agree? And here's the cool thing in the podcast. He says, with this extra time, a lot of this is remote. So he and his family went to Costa Rica for 6 months. When he worked 10 hours, they hired some really great people with this $200,000 salary cap. And the next year, he made $1.2 million. Working 10 hours. And when he was in Costa Rica, he met some right people in the right time. And now he is the regional owner of the Costa Rica country, that he would have never been able to do if he didn't get clarity on his big rocks. And we can see that his business is stronger because of it. And now he owns Costa Rica because of it, and who knows what else is coming. If you're working 40 hours a week, making 100 grand, theoretically, you should be able to work 8 hours a week and make 80 grand. Yeah,
If you look at that, by the way, because people, I think a lot of people, if you come from a position of scarcity, people would say, well, I don't want to give up $200,000 a year, right? But if you look, if he's working 50 hours a week and making $1 million, he's making $480 an hour. If he boils it down to 10 hours a week, it's making 800,000. He's making $1,500 an hour.
hourly wage is way up when you get clarity on your big rocks. Your hourly wage goes up when you have clarity around your big rocks. Your hourly wage stays down if you deal with sand and gravel and water. This is a reminder as you're planning your day and you're doing your day, and your loved one asks you at dinner, "Hi, honey, how was work?" Do you actually know how you win the day? Do you have a scoreboard that you know if work was successful or not? The work says, good, I accomplished all my big rocks. I did my lead follow-up appointments, negotiations, script and role play. Or saying, good, I went to a really great class, met some nice people, tried a new restaurant out, had great lunch, finally took my car into the shop, got the new tires on it, the oil's changed, I washed it while I was there, and I did all the shopping for Junior's Valentine's Day cards. It was a great day. Has that ever been a day in the life of a realtor? And they feel productive, they checked in, they did little things, they checked the email, like, great. I have no clients, don't know what to do, so I'm gonna go take care of small rocks, right? So this is where your coach comes in play that helps you identify the big rocks and the accountability and the conversations. And everyone's got different ones and everyone's got a different pace. Take these numbers, just move a decimal. Because if I said, and this happens when you hire your first assistant or even a transaction coordinator. The time and the money it costs to hire a transaction coordinator and the time you get back can be an upgrade in your hourly wage if you replace it with higher dollar activities. So to Pete's point, people don't hire because they have scarcity, they want to keep it to themselves. They're going, this is as much as I'm ever going to make. My hourly wage cannot change. The only way your hourly wage changes is if you leverage out the lower and you keep the higher, leverage out lower and keep the higher. Until you leverage it all out because the business is actually creating the ancillary income for you. We went from like real estate to empire build. You hear it? Any questions on that thought process? We good there? This is what we just went over on the whiteboard. Extreme Pareto, we talked about that. Go even smaller. And the one thing they talk about extreme Pareto, they talk about day in the life of a realtor. What are some things you have to do? Just rapid fire. I'm gonna write it down. We know the 5, right? I'll put that on here. Keep saying, what else?
Marketing.
Okay, I would say that's a portion of lead gen. You got marketing and prospecting, right? So lead follow-up. That's a permission. It's okay to market. Lead generating is not you hammering a phone call out. Sometimes people think lead gen is a 4-letter word. You need marketing. In fact, MREA says marketing base, prospecting enhanced. Sidebar. Keep going. What's your job? What is all of the things in the jar, not just the big rocks?
Schedule appointments.
You got appointments, schedule appointments, do we follow up?
Inspectors.
What's that?
Inspectors.
Inspector, so kind of field work, right?
What contracts?
You gotta write contracts, like 17 of them per buyer, is that where? Closing, how about closing gifts,
Checking the MLS 11 times a day.
MLS? Hopefully send that stuff over to your buyer. You don't have to scrub everything. If you have them author the MLS, then it's their search and you just get copied on it. You scrubbing every listing to then hand deliver stuff to them leverage the system to do it for you, there's higher and better use of times. That's the sidebar glimpse there. And then we've got T-ball practice and Cub Scouts and laundry and Target and change oil and we can see actually how our day gets filled up pretty quick. Extreme Pareto says go back and just say, what's the most important? What's the most important? And as you're thinking about this, I want you to think about 4 Ds. This is not in your material, so you can write it down. If I give you a task, you have 4 Ds. You can do it right now. I gotta do it. You can delay it. Push that snooze button. I'll do it later. You can delete it. Not gonna do it. Not that important. Or you can delegate it. One of those 4 things will happen. If your impulse is to always do it, then you're going to be stuck doing it all. I would ask yourself first, can I delete this? No. Can I delegate it? No. Can I do it later? No. All right, then do it now. But if you can delete it, just get it off your plate. You can let someone else do it, delegate it. We talk about if you don't have a maid, you are one. You don't have a landscaper, you are one. If you don't have a chauffeur for your kids, you are one. Right? And this is mastery. This is work on progress, not perfection. So they talk about the success list, and this goes through the success list. Talk about the success list, 80-20 principle. There's a tool called the 411. We'll take a break after this chapter. Called the 411. Who can tell me what the 411 stands for? Is there anybody using it? What's the 411 stand for? Yes, ma'am? What's your name?
Oh, something else now, isn't it?
Nope.
And I have one more, I have my annual goals, and I have broken down in months. That's the one.
That's the 135 or the GPS.
Okay.
Yep, which tells my goals, priorities, strategies.
Okay.
411 actually is where you take your strategies and the goals and you incorporate it in your 411. And the 411 says you've got your job. That's a J. You've got your business. You've got your personal finances and your personal life. Those are the blocks. You can add more if you want. You can add health. That's kind of personal life. You can add key relationships. But this is the 4 that it's set up. If you're a solo agent and it's me, myself, and Irene, your job and your business, you could even merge those if you wanted to. But if it's not, then you have your job description, but your business has their objectives, right? That's why we keep it separate, to think with the end in mind. And it says, you know what are my 2022 big accomplishments? What's your name, sir?
Steve.
So Steve and I are high-fiving, we're cheersing champagne, like Steve just did it. You set out everything you wanted to do this year. Amazing. Put it here. And this isn't everything. These are just the 2 or 3 few things that you want to make sure get. Right? So your database size, your conversion, your units sold, your growth, you've hired an assistant, your profit margin, your income, your net worth, you bought an investment property, your P&L that's intact, your date night, your vacations, your long lost conversations with relatives. And so you just set out like, what are the 3 or 4 things from each category that if I could just choose 3 or 4 things to accomplish, those are the ones. Can anyone imagine what those could be? You have some thoughts from your head? And you put them down here. Then the question is, well, for that to happen, for you to do 24 units in your business, what do we have to do in February? 2, right? Who's got a goal of 24, but you don't have 2 closings this month? Anyone? Okay. So you can't just be like, well, I declared 2. If it's February 1st, we don't have 2 in the books. It's not going to happen. So it's not just going to do that math, it's going to get clarity of going, all right, well, I would like 2 closings, but unless I find some quick cash deals, that won't happen. But what comes before closing? A pending. Now, if I close 0 in January and 0 in February, how much do I need to do in March to stay on track? 6. Does every contract close? So maybe we're gonna set out and be like, I'm gonna have a good quarter. I'm gonna put 7 under contract. And that's my monthly objective, to get back on track for 24. So that's why it's a living, breathing document. You don't get it out and just plan January, February, March, April. It's not a budget that's just out there. It's going, this is alive, this is well, and for me to hit 24, I gotta get back on track of 7 or 7 under contract. And maybe before that, what comes before contract? Appointments.
Property, you're getting the listing.
Appointments, right? Opportunity to get in front of people. Okay. What's your appointment to contract cut ratio? 2/3. Great. We need to go on 12 appointments. 12 appointments to get you 7 under contract, 7 under contract, get you 6 closing by March 31st. We're back on track, baby. Yes. Now let's go focus. What do we have to, and you can see how everything just correlates. You don't put family reunion on here, even though it's part of your business, because that's not a direct correlation. It's got to trickle down. You've got to be able to attach it to it. So now we've got that, and then we say week 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if I know I want to do 12 appointments and 7 under contract this month, what do I have to do this week? Could we say 2 under contract and 3 appointments? We're seeing how that trickles down. 3 appointments this week. Hey, it's Thursday. How are we doing? So I mentioned 8:15 to 8:30 every morning. What do we talk about with our agents? How many appointments do you need this month? How many have you had? And if they're not on track, if they choose, we incorporate something different. Because we can't get to better until we get to different. You can't keep doing what you've always done and you'll keep getting what you've always gotten. So what's going to change? Some people, you just got to work harder. You're just not putting in the hours. Some people, you're putting the hours, but you're going the wrong direction. Some people, you're putting the hours in the right direction, but you're working with gravel and stones. And some people says, the plant is working itself in the root system underneath. You just haven't seen it sprout, and be patient. I promise it's coming. Now it's that patience. If we don't hit 3 appointments, we actually had 1. What's our gap now for that month? We had 1. We've got 11 more, right? We got 11 more. We got 3 weeks to do it. What's 11 divided by 3? 3 and change, and you can't have a half of an appointment. So now week 2 comes around and we need 4 appointments to stay on track for 12, because 12 stays on track for 7 and 7 stays on track for 24. This is a way to help you filter out all the things that go, what are my most important things in my big rocks that must be done, so that by doing that 4 weeks in a row, I have a great month. By having 12 great months in a row, I have a great year. Because if all we do is think about a great year, but we actually don't think about the activity we have to do today, it's going to be tough. Sidebar for you, if you do this, and I hope you will, everything here needs to be able to be action on a calendar. Meaning your weekly are activities that you can time block for. Your monthly are the results from these activities or activities that lead you to these results. And these are only results. Annual results, weekly activities. Once you identify your weekly activities that are the most important thing for you to have a great life in all 4 categories, you assign them a time on your schedule. Make sense? Beautiful. That's the 4-in-1. It is one of the best, most underutilized tools. And I'm speaking from complete hypocrisy because I've used it and I loved it and I fall out of the habits.
Hey, Rick,
Yes, ma'am.
One of the things I think we sometimes do is talk about these tools, but we don't tell people how to access them in an easy way.
Mm-hmm.
So if you, as a KW agent, go onto Google and Google 411 space KW, it will pull up something that says, here's your productivity worksheet. You click on it, it auto-populates it just straight from Google with your name, and you can do it everywhere. You don't have, it's in KW Connect, but you don't have to go and find it. If you just Google 411 KW,
Beautiful,
it'll pull your personal 411 up.
beautiful. Did not know that. Love that. Also, the one thing.com has tools, and that's part of that as well. So Gary Keller wrote the one thing for industry wide, and he just took all the Keller Williams principles, removed houses, and top dude out industry. It's #1 bestseller on Wall Street. It's about efficiency. So it says, we think there's not enough time to do it all. There is when you actually plan for it and time block it. And when you time block it, you know your day has to end. So on Wednesdays, I coach at 5 o'clock. My office on Wednesdays is 45 minutes from my house. So all of a sudden, because a new season just started, my Wednesdays end at 3:30. I got to figure out how I'm going to get an 8-hour day in 6.5 hours or replace those hour and a half somewhere else. We're just going to schedule it and plan it and go 3:30. Got to go. I got 6-year-olds waiting for me for baseball. And we do it because it matters, right? Okay, there's the time block. This is part of the, you would do it if we were in the 8-hour class. We're not going to do it if we're not. That's the 80-20 principle. That's the 411. That is your job description. There's a lot. You know there's a lot. Thank you for staying with me. After we hear 3 ahas, we're going to take a 10-minute break and stretch our legs and our minds. Yes, ma'am. No, give me something better than that. He's got something.
I think what's interesting is, it really is, if you just focus on the 20%, keep it very, very basic, very, very focused. Everything else falls the line, and things that you thought were important, where we sometimes feel good about checking a box that it's done. It really doesn't matter if it's done or not. We take care of the 20%.
Yeah, some people work off of checklists and they start with the easiest checklist first because they can knock it out quickly and they feel like they're moving forward and progressing. But it leaves the most difficult, complex ones later. So we want to work in reverse. Do the most important, even if it's the biggest, tedious task, the most important one first. And the little stuff down here that would have only take you 5 minutes still left over, do it tomorrow or delete it or delegate it. Good, there's one, 2 more. Emily?
Earlier, you said until you know what your strengths and weaknesses are, you're kind of running off someone else's playbook. And I really love that because working with a lot of newer agents and being still new in the industry myself, you look at other people and see their success. And so we think, oh, I just got to do what they're doing. But to really like take a look at your own strengths and weaknesses to make sure that you are on the right track for you is so important.
Yeah.
So I really love that you said that.
Mastery of self. I've got an assistant. She's one of the best in the business. She's amazing. Mainly her, a little bit of me. Agents will come in and be like, can we just shadow you? Can your assistant teach my assistant? I go, yeah, but then I'm just going to teach you how to be my assistant. But you need your assistant. You can't just duplicate what my assistant does, because that's to overcome my strengths and weaknesses. You need to figure out what your assistant's going to do. So the MREA book, and Tim Heil gave permission of this, do not follow it to a T. He said, Chris Ward, that you follow the models. But the MREA book is 100 agents, business models with best practices. So Tim Heil says it's a Frankenstein. And if your business is to a T, it's Frankenstein. Is take the core concepts of it and then make it your own. Right back. Nope. Creativity is one of the info posters that they often have at these. Yeah, the triangle. You got to build your foundation, your basics first, then put your creativity on. When do you frost a cake? After the cake is baked. Then you go put your creativity on it and make it your own. But if all of us bake a cake with the same ingredients as vanilla confetti, it's going to all have a cake. But then we all have a whole hodgepodge of frosting and tchotchkes to put on it. And all of a sudden, we have 35 different cakes, don't we? But it all tastes like funfetti. Your business has to have funfetti, and then you get to frost it up. Do not frost up a cake that's not even baked yet. That Lucy? All right, one more. Sir, what's your name?
Omar,
Omar?
sometimes we make things very difficult and don't utilize these systems that are already in place. And I think everything starts with a good, honest, open conversation with someone you trust in the group you already have here. And utilizing all these small things that are very small, very easy, but can develop in huge things for you, your life, your business, your family, your future. So I think it's much more simpler than what we make it.
Hello? This actually has helped simplify things. Sometimes we overthink it, we overcomplicate it, but like, okay, just breathe. And let's just take care of the big rocks and all the other stuff over here, all the white noise that's freaking me out is actually not important, as long as I go win the day. Yeah, all right, it is 10:43. Take a 7-minute break for me. And if you want in those 7 minutes to come sidebar with me, happy to have sidebar conversations. I'm just gonna stand here and look at you guys. 7 minutes, so come back at 10:50.
So my lender hasn't been communicating with them, so one is doing together for extensions.
I ordered.
And maybe that's the advance now, maybe it's standard.
Which the supervisor didn't want him to do because he didn't. Oh, please. Do you know what it is? Yeah.
Personal growth.
Okay.
Not a weekend, but it's.
It's a good read.
It's very.
I'm gonna send it to you so you know what's going on.
Sorry. Okay.
Personal growth and the ability to impact others.
So much.
At least for me. So I would have like.
I love it. I love it. So much.
Okay.
Now it's out, and I can see the good and bad. Yeah, when I started. Yes.
Show me some.
What happened? 2 minutes. Crowd goes wild. Which is one of the instructor rules. Yourself. Look through. Read it out loud. Every behavioral style. All it was called people out. They are not watching you unless
That's because you couldn't use them all. You didn't get
they're here. Like part
So even though you go to the office,
Well, the thing about it is, because everything's so very
and that's not easy.
and within that, you have unique value propositions. Organization, conflict resolution, right? Time blocking, scheduling, holding people accountable.
I love.
Well, then it becomes purposeful. I see so many times we have a great conversation before you. And I forgot to actually say, hey, I'm a real estate, out of curiosity. What did you decide? And we do a great job of branding, but not regenerating. The difference is the call to action.
I love your,
Oh, so we're just gonna put call me under here.
Yes, that's branding. Call me, right here. Call me, call me, baby.
call to action, we had an agent, I was gonna tell the
You can tell the
website
Don't
story.
tell who.
Yeah, we had an agent that they had a design for whatever, for the web company to develop a website, and everything, and branding and all that. So she was super excited, and she should have been, so she showed us, you know, they just said, here it is. And they put it up, and it was her name, and it was, whatever realtor, take me home. That's a call to action, first.
It wasn't call to action.
And
We busted out laughing.
Two different messages.
Probably don't want to take me home tonight.
But you know what? We're talking about it right now.
Exactly. Probably would have called a lot of action.
And she could have gotten arrested for that. though.
Is that a phrase?
I love the day you went. That's about it. It's always things that kind of do a crazy way. It's not gonna look like it's close. It's gonna be- Exactly. I love the.
And when they judge themselves against people, they feel like they're failing at
Yes, yes.
It's that patience piece you mentioned, that's the one that's always getting older.
I saw a meme that you know, if you're tired of starting over, stop.
Don't worry.
Yes.
I reference those all the time.
True, I think so they just don't. But I think even if you're consistent for 30 minutes of iteration a day, that's so hard. So trying to go down to a manageable, bite-sized piece, and then you grow. So if I say, all right, I'm gonna do 30 minutes a day, and I'm gonna say, but if I say I'm in 3 hours of iteration, and I don't feel like it. So it's better to practice small, consistent activities than trying to large ones. Especially in your times, especially in writing and things too, and sometimes you're not always gonna have Although that's not part of the effort to create
All right, all right, all right. Let's jump back. We're gonna go E to P. And I'm just gonna start going because you guys are on time and we're gonna kick it off. I'm gonna talk slowly and loud so everyone will come in. So moving from E to P is entrepreneurial to purposeful. When we look at E to P, instead of entrepreneurial, I'm going to have you say the word easy. So how many of you guys have been naturally good at something? You've got just, it's natural. What is it?
Design oriented.
Design wise, it's just in your DNA, it's in your being. You can do the design, you're the natural entrepreneurial, just go out there and wing it and it's better than most. Perfect. Anybody else? What do you just naturally, maybe it's a sport. She mentioned the gift of gab, right? Some people are just, I've always had a gift of presenting and been able to do that. So me, when I took public speaking in college, it was kind of my mailing class and other people were terrified of it. I had that gift. What else do you guys have that comes natural to you? Surely there's more natural talent hidden there somewhere. Yes.
Customer service, people, I'm really good with just rental.
So even before you got trained with whatever you got training of, you just always knew how to diffuse those situations and
Yeah, I've been in hospitality my whole life, so I think just customer service.
yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so here's an example of things that come easy to you. And there's a certain point that you will hit a ceiling that it doesn't become as easy. You're a designer. Do you get paid for your designs? Okay, do you have like a clientele and they just, here comes in, I'll design this for you, it's done. You made a business out of it. Are you the top 1% designer in the world?
In my mind.
I don't know how. I love that. I didn't know how she was. I just went up. I had to figure it out. You're at a ceiling. Almost all of us are at a ceiling with what we're doing. And there's different checkpoints. And maybe this ceiling is going to be 24 units. Maybe this ceiling is lead genning. And you've never done lead gen for more than 90 minutes in a day. Because beyond that, you just, your brain gets fried, you don't know how to do it, and you have the natural ability to get you to 90 minutes, versus other people can come in and lead gen for 6 hours. You're like, how do you do that? I've never seen that person. I like to equate golfing to the E to P. Some people are golfers and they can pick up a club and a club set and they can go out there and drive it 250 yards down the middle. I'm like, you son of a gun. Golfing since I was 7th grade. And I still shank it in the woods. They just have a natural higher ceiling. So I say this because each of you will have a different ceiling. And when you hit a ceiling, you have a choice to just stay there. Congratulations, you've peaked. You're at capacity. This is all you're going to do. Or we can bounce back a little bit. Remember we said before we can get to better, we have to get to different. So we can change. We can use some models. We can use some systems. We can change our golf grip and our stance and our speed. And all of a sudden, when it used to be, this is my ceiling, bam, I broke through it. Everyone could imagine how that is. Maybe your kids, you never got a tutor or a private coach in sports. We do it to help them get some models, get some systems, get some tools, re-implement it, incorporate what they already do, break through the ceiling. I learned in stocks in high school. And this is just a stock market ticker a little bit. All right, we'll call that Bitcoin. I think it's down here somewhere. There's a natural ceiling and a natural floor that you can see when you look at stocks. Anyone do stocks here? You know what I'm saying? Would you agree with that? If you look at 1 year or 5 years, you can see natural ceilings, natural floors. So I'm looking over my father's shoulder. He did the stocks. I'm in 9th or 10th grade. I'm like, teach the stocks. And he said, see this one here? And it was like here, because we're going to buy that. He said, we're going to buy it because when you see a stock break through its natural ceiling, oftentimes that old ceiling becomes the new floor. If you sold 12 homes your first year, is anything less than 12 acceptable in your mind the next? And once you sell 20, what's your new floor? Wait, last year 20 is your personal best, but now it's unacceptable if you do less than? We're seeing how this is real. So now we're aware of it, that know that when you break through a ceiling, it becomes your new floor. So long as you keep using all the models and systems that got you there. If I were to look at a multi-year trends report of agents' business by month, might it look like this? 1 closing, 4 closings, no closings, 1 closing, 3 closings, no closings, 1 closing, 2 closings. Has anyone ever seen that roller coaster ride or been a part of that roller coaster ride? And if you ride a roller coaster all day, every day, all the time, you're gonna eventually puke. Right? So we want to get off the roller coaster. And we want to get to a place where we can go up, make adjustments, go up, make adjustments, go up, make adjustments. This is the ride we want to be in, not this ride. This is getting purposeful with what are we doing and moving E to P. So here's the steps to move to E to P, and I'm on page 51. Get focus. Write down your goals. Yay, we did that. Identify the 20%, your big rocks. We're good there. Find strategic options. Okay, how can this be done? How can I close 40 units this year? How can I close 100 units this year? How can I go to level 6? When I say level 6, it's the org chart, which is that corner poster right there with the bubbles and the team. You'll see the different levels. How can it be done? And are there different or better ways to do it? The answer is probably, and the cool thing about this company is you don't have to figure it out. Someone's already done it, and we get to stand on the shoulders of giants because they just share everything. They share their playbook. Then we're going to install systems like time blocking. We got that figured out. We're going to test the systems to make sure they work. When I say red light, green light, it's from the budget model. What does that mean? Red light, green light.
Hold your spending accountable.
Hold your spending accountable. Lead with revenue before you lead with expenses. If we're driving a car and it's a red light, what do you do? Green light, what do we do? So when you implement a system or a model or a tool or a person or a strategy or a program, let the popcorn cook. Give it 3 months, give it 6 months, maybe you give it a year. But before you just auto renew, play red light, green light that says, is this working? Is this the results I wanted? Is this time block working? Is this schedule working? Is this budget working? Right? So we've got to look at, says, is this working? So we can make sure that we're constantly tweaking and improving. Accountability is that 4-on-1, measuring and tracking what we do to track our progress, and have an accountability partner. Now, accountability partner, who has one right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. More people than I expected. How many of you have an accountability partner, not your coach? 1, 2, 3, 4. I love it. And it was still, ironically, about 20% of you had accountability partner. The 80-20 principle. Now, how many of you who don't says that sounds great? I would love to have an accountability partner. Keep your hand up, like higher, because I need you to look at each other right now. Look at each other, serious, make eye contact. You all want accountability partners, and you're all 5 feet away. Can you make one of your Avenger actions to identify, like make eye contact right now? And be like, you, we're good. And if and when you create an accountability partner, there's rules that I'm going to encourage you to have for your accountability partner. Your accountability partner during your accountability meeting, you are friends after that meeting. You do not mix friendship with accountability. It doesn't become as productive. You agree on a start time, you agree on a stop time. You have clear set objectives of what are we going to be held accountable to. Cool thing is, whatever you want. The beauty of accountability partner is just someone else who's going to ask you to repeat and be prepared with what you want to do anyway. And it makes you intentional with your objectives. A coach is an accountability partner, but it's even better if you have a different accountability partner, so your coach can be your growth partner. Sometimes it's both. If you're my accountability partner, we meet every morning at 8 a.m. and every morning at 8:05, you kind of casually stroll in. What should I do to my accountability partner? So I'm gonna, you said give her a warning, she said fire her, so careful who your partner is. Well, yeah, it's like, hey, I love you, and we're still going to lunch today as friends, but I gotta find someone to be here at 8. If it's not you, it's cool, I get it, life's busy. But I need this. Be okay firing your accountability partner. Accountability partners are great when they are someone in the same spot as you, looking to do the same path as you. So you've got a coach. Let that coach be your coach and let your peer partner be your accountability partner. Go take a turn together. You'll have a better experience. And if you find yourself having a hard time firing friends, then don't choose a friend who's your accountability partner, because if you have to fire them, you're not ruining a friendship anyway. You're not friends anyway. Now, we say that jokingly, but I've got a good friend of mine, and we were at family reunion 2012, and the inspirational brunch, our table was full. It was back when they had tables. And so my buddy Joe, who's a new agent with me, he's like, I'll sit over here. He sat over here with an office from Baton Rouge, and we're from Orlando. And he met this guy, David, who was also brand new in real estate, who was also in his 20s. He's like, David, you want to be my accountability partner? I said, sure. Fast forward, Joe got married in 2019, and David was a groomsman because they had calls every week for the next 7 years. They both had $25 million businesses. But he chose someone who was like him in the same spot as him and said, this is our relationship. The relationship grew into a great friendship. But if you have a hard time holding your friends accountable, it's because you're too close. So get someone who's not as close, who doesn't mind telling you have spinach in your teeth. If you have spinach in your teeth, I'll tell you. Even if I don't know you, but like, oh, something right there. So E to P is about you being aware of your ceilings. If you don't know what your ceiling is, how are you aware of it? If you play golf and you don't keep score, how do you know if you're getting better? You have a couple nice shots, you'll feel progressive, but we actually don't know if we're getting better. What are some ways you guys keep score? And let's talk to the newest agent. Who's my newest agent? Less than a month. Yes, be proud. Less than a month. You're like fire hose. Everyone's been there. That's why they're laughing. They're like, ah, you're still there. Your job right now is to build your database and to let everyone in your database know what you did before this. That you're no longer a banker, now you're a realtor. Because forever they've known you as the banker. You're gonna change your mind. And that bullseye looking poster right there, they talk about in your MET group, you first do an 8x8 and then you do a 33 touch. So as you start, if somebody's known you as a banker, if you want to change the mind, I'm not a banker anymore, I'm a realtor. Then you will do an 8x8, which means 8 weeks in a row, have 8 strategic touches, reminding them you're a realtor. Sometimes we call our database once, we let everybody know, and we think, okay, mission accomplished, now we wait. Everyone in the database, and surely they'll call me. We just wait. Your job is to let everyone know, put them on an 8x8. The Ignite Daily 10-4. What does the Daily 10-4 mean? What does that stand for? Lots of Kellerisms, lots of acronyms. The big one, I know you know, you're coach. Don't save them. Somebody, collectively. Say it? Okay. I thought I heard them mumble. Okay. Okay, you can bail now.
10 handwritten notes. I don't even have to know them all. 10 property previews.
Can I bail you out?
Yeah.
Every day. Here's a job description. Add 10 people to your database every day. If your database was 12 yesterday, tomorrow it's 22. How am I going to add 10 people a day? I don't care. Go to 10 Burger Kings and ask them if you can stay in touch with them about real estate. We overcomplicate it. We talk to so many people every day, and we overcomplicate how to add 10 people. You start with hello, and you finish with the next thing. Second 10 objective is follow up with 10 people who are already in your database via 8x8 or 30 touch. Third objective is 10 handwritten notes a day. You gotta write a handwritten note. You want to guess? One of the 20 people that you just talked to will be a follow-up or addition. Nice meeting you, Miss Burger King attendant. You serve the best Whoppers in town. If I could ever help you in real estate, like you helped me in my fast food, please let me. We overcomplicate stuff. Right now, I'm being jest with the Burger King, but no joke. Rich Carpentier, your former colleague of mine, he's sitting with John Prescott on his way to Bowl. They stop at McDonald's. And Rich asked the girl at McDonald's, who do you know wants to buy some invest in real estate? She says, my sister's with me right now. Gotta leave, give that to someone. Like, they're everywhere. 10 handwritten notes. Why do we write handwritten notes? Why is that so important? Personal. When's the last time someone got a handwritten note? Anyone think of it recently? Mail it.
I'm waiting.
Action. Avenger.
Chris, help me out here, Chris. Sorry, yes, she did say one. Yes.
Did you read it?
Yes.
Have a big day.
Great.
In the history of handwritten notes, no one's ever thrown it in the trash with the other spam mail. Agreed?
Agreed.
We open mail over the garbage can like this. Bill, junk. In the middle of it, like, ooh, handwritten note. You put the whole pile down and you open it right there with the trash. Like everything, I'm going to stop sorting it and I'm going to read this sucker right now. True? Makes the impact. It stops, it slows down, it shows you care, and it's going to help that mind share.
And you might keep it on your counter for 3 days and then you throw it.
Yep. And let it long enough to be like, I appreciate it, but now it's cluttered. It's funny because I'll go like 3 or 4 minutes and it's gone, even though I have my mess at this desk. When my grandmother passed away, it was the sweetest thing in the world. Every birthday card that we ever gave her was stuck in the spot. It was really cool to go back to.
I keep them all. I'm a hoarder.
She's a hoarder.
Same, all of them.
Yeah, my wife does too. But anyways, that's a different conversation. Now, when you graduate Ignite, should you stop doing the daily 10-4? Oh, the last 10 is previewing 2 homes a day, 10 a week. A new agent, would it be good for you to know inventory? Floor plans, neighborhoods, new construction, styles, So when you talk to the lady at Burger King, she says, yeah, we're thinking of buying over this neighborhood, you can be like, oh, it's just figuring out house there yesterday. She doesn't know that you're by yourself or that someone else open house or to walk through. You just became an expert and you became valuable. You've got to get out there in the business. When should you stop doing the daily 10-4? Now, maybe I'll caveat that your database is rocking and rolling, and you don't have to focus on adding 10 a day, but you're going to make sure you're going to follow up with everybody. Your previews don't become you just out there walking through it because you have clients in your car and you're looking for things. The handwritten notes say the same, the follow-up stays the same. There's a class, and it's a pet peeve of mine, but we have it every month. And it says, I graduated Ignite. Now what? If I was teaching that class, I'd say, okay, do the 10-4. You now got 9 hours back this week to do it. Enjoy, class dismissed. Like I'm dead serious. You would talk about your big rocks. It's your 10-4. Yes, ma'am.
Would this be basically your lead gen time for the day? Is breaking your lead gen time down?
Yeah, and there's a million different ways it's going to count with your system for lead gen. You can do the DTD2. You can do the 555. You can do the 102690. Now, throwing all sorts of systems people create. In our coaching program, we call it catch one. Whatever you do to make sure that that bullseye right there stays top of mind. Here's how I want you to think about lead generation. This is the bottle. It's almost empty right now. Here, it's empty. That means I have no relationship with this bottle right now. Water signifies relationship and value. When I make a call, I filled it up a little bit. My handwritten note, I filled it up a little bit. When I do a touch, invite them to an event, it's full, it's full, it's full. Only when a bottle is full or has something in it can I take something out. If I call you and I've added no value to your world and have no relationship and I ask for something, I've withdrawn it. Water's empty. Does that make sense? Kind of? So what you think about every one of your calls and touches and items and pop buys and invites is you filling your relationship. And when it's full, it's easy to ask. When you've given, and you need a favor to pick you up at the airport, you probably call somebody who you know you've got a full relationship with. Because you know that they're going to say yes because it reciprocates. So don't overdraft your account by asking before you give. And here's what else we know. Let's say there's food coloring. And when I add value, it's yellow. But red. Do you think they're getting it from all directions? Gary Keller tells us our database is under attack. We've got to build a moat around our database. Any listing agents here had a listing on their pipeline ready to roll, and all of a sudden, Open Door gave them an offer that you're going, holy smokes, they gave you what? Take it, run it. You don't have that? I had 3. You guys did? And he's like,
So they give us 450 the last, and then get back at 407.
so they ended up doing a bait and switch. In Orlando, they were paying 3% above because we had 20% growth year over year. Open Door knew that. And they said, I'll just hold on to this thing for 3 months. I'll make my 3%. Because when I'm buying tens of thousands of homes a month, 3% is perfect margin for me. Zillow ended up getting out of the buyer game because they got a little bit too fast and furious, trying to compete with Open Door. And they ended up with a whole bunch of inventory that wasn't working. Moral of that story is if you think you're the only real estate value that your database is receiving, you are mistaken. Therefore, it needs to be more personalized, more intentional, more consistent. So what we read in that book, 33, is probably not enough right now. Closer to 6. Get with your coach, we'll go through Ignite and go like, how do I do 60? Monthly neighborhood nurtures and command, there's 12. We do quarterly phone calls, quarterly texts, quarterly handwritten notes. There's 12 more, that's 24. We do 3 events, there's 27. We do birthday and holiday, there's 29. And then each of our events have a 6-touch event bright social media. And that's how we're getting another 18. That puts us at 57 touches. Oh, and newsletters, quarterly newsletters for database. 61. 61 touches. If we average that out, our clients will hear from us 5 times a month, every 6 days. Crazy, right? But we have a system that actually isn't that bad, and it just becomes your job. So your daily 10-4 is your job when you are figuring it out and working your way up. And if you've never done a daily 10-4, go do a 5-4. Go do a 1-4. There's an amazing book called Atomic Habits, James Clear. Anyone read it? Great book, great book, great book. One of my favorites. Atomic Habits talks about how you can focus on getting rid of your bad habits and acquiring your good ones. One thing he said that just rang so true, because I'm one of the cold turkey kind of people, just declare I'm going to do it, and I think I can. You cannot build upon a habit in which you don't already have. Starting tomorrow, I'm going to wake up early, eat healthy, and run a mile. That's a lot happening tomorrow. Do you eat healthy now? No. Do you run? No. What time do you wake up? 8:30. Let's focus on one of those habits first. And then he says, be careful, because just by doing one habit will make the other ones easier or harder. So an example he gives, if you want to go to the gym after work, and home is this way, and gym is that way, then your habit is just turn left. And if you just turn left, you're that much more likely to go to the gym than if you turn right. And for 30 days or 60 days or however many days it takes you, you can walk in the gym, sit in a bike, pull out a Twinkie, and watch the TV if you want, because your mission becomes going to the gym. And this is how we go baby steps. Because eventually you're going to start pedaling. And eventually you'll have an apple. So, and eventually we can see how it goes. But sometimes we declare, starting January 1st, starting Monday, starting now. So as you guys hearing all the stuff that you want to go do, realize the progress breakthroughs. And if you've never done lead gen, and you say, starting tomorrow, 3 hours of lead gen without fail, calling everyone on my phone, we're doing a daily 10-4. I'm rooting for you. And if it doesn't happen, take the small win by getting 1% better. I do some coaching. And these agents who have been in the business for 20, 30 years, what's the most inconsistent thing they do? Remember I said if you don't know the answer, say one thing, you always right? Lead gen. What do you want to do? I want to do 9 to 11. I know it, it's there, I see it, I get it, I understand it. Do you do it? No, why not? All sorts of reasons. Great. Forget 9 to 11. Just make your first dial by 9. If you're done, mission accomplished. I want you for 5 days in a row, make your first dial by 9, and let's see how it went. When you make your first dial by 9 and you know you want to do it, what do you probably keep doing? You keep going. Or if you're you get distracted and it's 9:30, you can hang up knowing I accomplished what I set out to do today. I don't feel like I failed. So the mindset stays pure. Let me get progressively better. That make sense? Give yourself some grace on progression, not perfection. There's E to P. Questions, ahas on heating your ceiling, implementing models and systems, having breakthroughs. When you have the breakthrough, whether it's units, sales, lead generation, contacts a day, contacts per hour, that becomes your new floor. Questions or ahas from this chapter?
When you spoke about E2P is about being aware of your ceilings. When you're a new agent, sometimes it's not that easy to know where your ceiling is.
Yeah.
Because you have dreams, and you have plans, and you talk to your coach, and you say, okay, this year I'm gonna do 60 properties. And then your coach brings you back to reality and tells you, hey, what? Why don't you do 8 and try to create an income that is gonna allow you to survive till the next year. And that is reality. So it is up to whatever you can do, making everything very small. So make habits, very small goals.
Atomic is
To try
tiny.
to try to build everything like 10 to 4 instead of 10 to 4. Maybe I'm not gonna be able to add 10 people per day to my database, but I can add 2.
Okay.
That I can do maybe.
Great.
So those things are gonna keep me on track, being consistent, being resilient, which is a word you used yesterday, I think. And keep trying to do whatever it is that I need to do.
Yeah.
To get to the end of the year with something that is gonna make me proud of what happened well with you.
Yeah, give yourself some grace. Set the goals that are big enough to create big action, but not big enough that you feel tiny deflated if it doesn't happen. Appreciate the progress, not the perfection. If you hit 2 this week, great. Can you go do 3 next? Once 3 becomes normal, comfortable for you, you hit that ceiling, you say 4, and you just keep. It's the couch to 5K. You heard that exercise, Richard? Couch to 5K? Right? If I said, well, another example I use, and I got you in the back in a second. This book. Here's the shift. Okay, everyone, do me a favor. Today's Thursday. By Saturday morning at 9 o'clock, have this book read and give me your cliff notes and highlights. Good? That's a big task. That's a big ask. What about I say, hey, everyone, do me a favor, just read tactic 4. Can we do that? And most of you, or some of you would at least intend to do it. And then half of you actually would. But if I say, hey, do me a favor, just read page 212. Just read page 212. That's what I'm asking. And we'll have a call Saturday morning at 9 a.m. A lot more of you will actually do that. Because you'd be like, well, I'll do that right now. Okay, I'm good. Appreciate the small stuff. Don't create massive goals. If it's going to set you up for failure, be okay with small ones. Yes, ma'am. What's your name?
Suzanne.
Suzanne.
What I got, my big aha, our PDP is follow models. We have systems and models in Keller Williams that are proven success. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel. So if you're following the modeling system, you'll be successful.
I say for the love of Pete a lot, and I realize your team was Pete. So, yes, follow models. They're there. They're written. Someone has done it before you. Spent way more money figuring out failing forward and gave you the cheat sheet. Yeah. Thank you. Any else? Yes, ma'am.
I have 2.
And Emily.
One that just came to my mind as Omar was speaking was think big but go small. So having the big thinking, so you have the vision, but then go super small in your action so that you can get there. And then the other one, kind of from Suzanne with the models, and what you said earlier, testing the systems, that was hard for me to conceptualize for a very long time. Of how do I test this to see if it's working? It took me back to when I was a high school athlete, and when I was trying to learn a new skill, a lot of times it wasn't, oh, we're gonna work on getting your back tucked. It's okay, we're gonna work on shoulder blocks. And it was that very like foundational thing, and that was what was stopping me from getting to the next level. So I really like realizing that that's what it means to test. Like, what is the smallest little piece of this that is not working? Is it your time blocking for the day? Or is it the making the first call by 9? Those little things that just that one shift can really unlock.
Yeah, as you're coaching, give them something that they author and they feel confident they can win. Even knowing that you guys will win every day, you build confidence and you build excitement. Knowing that you lose every day, you get deflated and start wondering what you're doing. That hurts confidence, that hurts consistency. Create small wins that move you towards the right direction. And what she mentioned, the shoulder blocks, was your cheerleading or tumbling coach identifying the 20% of the 80-20 rule. It's all shoulder blocks. We can fix that. We can fix everything else. You guys want to lose weight? There's 3 or 4 different things. Work out, eat healthy, sleep well. Which one matters more than the other 3? Eating
healthy.
Eating. They're all 3 important. But if you're only gonna do one, I can't just sleep well and lose weight. I wish. I go sleep, watch. I am always lightest in the morning, so maybe there's something to that. No, we've got to know what it is. They're all important. We just got to figure out what it is. Good. Anybody else that need to be? Yes, ma'am.
If you don't keep score, how do you know if you're getting better?
Let's keep score. I don't know.
It's simple. It's very simple, but it's the hardest thing sometimes is for people to understand the importance of tracking it.
Yeah, as team leaders, they have to do a daily Slack to the region scoreboard. And with it, it's our tracker. It's her, call her, somewhat micromanaging, somewhat progressing, somewhat knowing if we've got an issue, somewhat not. Hopefully for you, it's going, I don't want to report a day of not, and there's a little bit of that competitiveness. You said something, oh, yeah, my coach that I have now, football season, right now. He says, is the playbook in the first quarter the same as the playbook in the 2 minutes warning, the fourth? And is the playbook the same if you're up by 20 at the 2 minute warning or down by 10 at the 2 minute warning? And are the players the same on the basketball court or the hockey when they pull the goal? Depending on the score and depending on the time, depends on the playbook, the urgency, the strategy, and the execution. And if we keep running the same plays because we don't have a scoreboard, I like soccer as a sport. I can't stand watching it because I don't know when the clock's done. It drives me crazy. Like I love the shot clock. That's just maybe how I was raised there. You've got to have your scoreboard. Otherwise, how do you know if your plays are the best plays to run right now? And when we do our 8:15 call, and it's the 15th of the month, that's halftime. And if a team is down 21-3 at halftime, do they come back in the third quarter with the same playbook? Better not. And so we have 15th-day protocol, which says, hey, what you did the first 2 weeks didn't work so hot. So we're going to change some things. And you have to author whatever it is. I can't dictate what it's going to be. It's up to you to do it. One of my teams said they're going to do Hell Week. We call it Hell Week. And there's two people, two rainmakers. They say, we will not stop lead generating or following up until we do all three things, which is at least do 2 hours a day. Is that a great day of lead gen in itself? 2 hours. Maybe, right? We said, and we must have at least 20 conversations. Great, now we're efficient in those 2 hours. And we must book at least one appointment. If your kid comes home with a report card, do you want 3 A's or as long as they get 1 A and 2 D's, are you cool? Maybe some of you are like, I'm picking D's. I want you to think about your lead gen. It's this and, not this or. Sometimes we lead gen for 2 hours, we pat ourselves in the back, we come back, we're like, well, you had 3 conversations. You actually talked with real estate about any of them. You just caught up with old friends.
When James Clear said the difference between being in motion and taking action.
In motion and taking action. Yeah. Don't mistake movement for achievement. Somewhere back in that wall. Yep. Motion equals emotion. There's lots of them. So yes, okay, we're gonna keep going because we're against the clock. 30 minutes left, home stretch. Make learning based be, this is a very short chapter here. This always feels like we're way behind, I promise we're not. A learning based individual, I'm sorry, I've been horribly neglecting Zoom. Zoom, how you guys doing? Can you hear? Can they talk?
That is, they can talk, and whether we can hear them or not, it's different.
Okay. Hey, Zoom, I'm sorry I've been ignoring you. We've got an engaging room here. And if, who do we have still out there? Stella, I'm naturally comfortable with speaking in front of crowds. She talk about her strengths. Here, everyone's been doing this. Man, I feel like a giant neglectful jerk. Zoom, anything to add or your ahas so far? We'll see it in the chat. We're gonna wait for you. I'm gonna keep you intact for these final chapters. Okay, learning base is the foundation of your action plan. You guys are here because you're learning based. Now, when you're here, you came here as one of 3 postures. Whenever you go to a training, you're one of 3 people. You are a prisoner. And you're here because someone's making you be here. Why are you here? Someone told me I had to. Had to come. So I'm here. You're here because you're a vacationer. Like, well, I looked at my schedule, I don't have anything else going on. It sounds good enough. Thought I'd give it a shot. Maybe some of you are here because you felt like it would be productive, and why not? Or you're an explorer. And my goal with every class is to convert the prisoners and vacationers into explorers. But as you go to classes, be an explorer. If you're an explorer, we're around St. Augustine, Ponce de Leon, right? St. Augustine. He's on a mission for something. He's looking for something. I'm seeking something out as an explorer, and when I find it, I'm going to take it and I'm going to grasp it. Mission accomplished. When you go to classes, find out what you're looking for When I asked the early section, what do you guys want from this class? That was me looking for my explorers. Now, you might have known, but not sure you wanted to say it out loud, and that's okay. Maybe you didn't know, but you knew it was something because you're just in this state, which is that's fine too. I encourage you guys when you go to these classes, make it a foundation part of your plan and go with the sake of taking action afterward. This says knowing, some people know for knowing's sake, and they are ignorance based. I'm on page 55. I know what I know and I'll ignore anything else. And then some people know for doing's sake. Now that you've learned this stuff, if you go back tomorrow, this afternoon, and change nothing, then you've got a 0 for your ROT. You might be like, oh yeah, I know what that 4 and 1, look about that. Atomic habits, outliers. I know, and I'm smarter now. But if you don't know anything about it, then you're staying in the ignorant based box. You've got the knowledge. Spider-Man tells us we got to do something about it, right? Great knowledge, great responsibility. That's not part of the script. That was just me. This is one of my favorite, and you guys are going to relate to this a lot. There's 4 levels of competency. 4 levels of competency. The first level is unconscious incompetence. You don't know what you don't know. Has anyone ever been there? Yeah, we all have. My mother loves when I tell this story. She's never heard me say it, but I tell her, I call her out. I talk about my experience learning to drive a car with my mother. Not a great teacher. Not a good experience. I didn't know what I didn't know. I was never intentional, ages 0 through 14, watching and studying how she drove. So when I was 15 and I sat in the car, I'm here, and I was just like, she goes, great, put the blinker on. I remember this like it was yesterday. I go, which button is the blinker? You want to know what her response was? Oh my God. I didn't know what I didn't know. And then we're driving, and she's like, go, stop, start. I knew red light, green light. I had that down. When she made me get out of the driver's seat is when we were pulling out of the complex. And she says, I'll tell you when to go. And this was a median one. So I was like, okay. She says, okay, go. I was like, okay. Just drove right through it. Well, she never said stop at the median. I was like, okay. What are you doing? Get out. I was like, you just told me to go. You didn't tell me to go and to stop. And I wonder in real estate how many times we just tell you to go, but we forget to tell you to stop. Or we forget to say where the blinker's at. And you go into this unconscious incompetence, like, I don't know what I don't know, so how am I supposed to know what to do? So once I left that car with my emotional damage, I had knowledge, didn't I? That I still reference it 20-something years later. And then I have conscious incompetence. Well, now I know how much I don't know. And now we're in a learning phase of going, I came in with hope and optimism, and now I have a little bit of skepticism. Now I have conscious incompetence. I know how little I know. When you get a new role, you realize how little you know. When you start doing your P&L and your budget, you realize how little you know about your finances. Because without looking at your money or your bank, you have unconscious incompetence. I don't know. How much do you guys spend on a monthly basis at your house on groceries? I don't know. Great, go get knowledge. Well, now you know what you know. Now you know what you don't know. Once you do that enough time, you gain wisdom through experience. Conscious competence. Okay, I got this. The daily 10-4. I got this. I'm in rhythm. I still have to methodically think. And this kind of reminds me when I'm driving the car. Conscious competence says I'm 15, but not day 1. And I go in, I do one of these. And I'm like, okay, check, 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 check. Let's go. You can visualize this, a 15-year-old, that you kind of see them breaking everything down like. And then we do that long enough, and then we gain unconscious competence, which is us taking 14 phone calls while handing the snack back to the kid. And you get to the driveway, and you're like, I remember driving home. You've ever done that? Like this entire drive is a blur. You did it without thinking. You just do. This is part of mastery. Am I master in driving? No. Well, probably have 10,000 hours in it, actually. I probably have mastered driving, at least to the level that I need to do it at. My wife says otherwise. My wife will not let me wrap my truck. She's like, no, I'm not gonna advertise you. You're an awful driver. So you wrap my truck. She loves driving. So as we look at this level of confidence, now what do you think happens when you have a breakthrough from E to P? Where do you get to start over again at? New models, new systems. I don't know what I don't know. I'm a really great agent. I found out I'm a really lousy leader. Says the demise of all people trying to build teams. So if you keep trying to do the stuff that got you here, but you don't focus on this next level stuff, it's going to burn you out because you're back into an unconscious incompetence. So if you've been in banking for years and you can do that without thinking, you're in a new territory. And now you don't know what you don't know, but every class you attend, what do you gain? Knowledge. Now, how do we turn knowledge into wisdom? You do. Take action. And I'm going to encourage everybody here, wherever you're at on this stage or this stage, get used to failing fast and failing often. In Train the Trainer, they talk about effective training. This is a lecture style, participatory, but we're not doing it. So let's pretend I was going to teach you guys how to swim. A bunch of non-swimmers, but I do it in a classroom. All right, everyone stand up. Put your arms out. People's ready to stand up. Thank you. And you're gonna swim. And just when you do it, the thumb down. You gotta breathe, but you want your head down when you swim. So when you breathe, it's under this armpit. You do it every 3 or 4 strokes. Go out. And we're doing that simultaneously. Kick your feet. Everyone try it? We good? Congratulations. You all know how to swim. Is that how we teach swimming? How do we teach swimming? There you go, kid. Right? You got to do it. And what's the kid do immediately? Sinks. Fails. He didn't know what he didn't know. Now they know. My kids now, we're going in the boat. Salt water or fresh water? Because what do they know? Salt water hurts the eyes. They have that knowledge. They haven't mastered the art of closing your eyes in the water yet. So this happens everywhere. And as you guys are doing real estate and you're afraid to do and take action, I want you to think about how kids have to ride bikes in the mailboxes and shrubs and sink to the bottom of pools. And you're in that stage. You're in the unconscious incompetence, maybe the conscious incompetence, but guess what? You're still incompetent. And it's not an insult, it's a reality. And Mark's in a new role now. He's been a team leader here for 15 years. That long? 11. He's in a new role. I bet there's some aspects of that role that he's in uncharted territory. A little bit of unconscious incompetence. And he'll figure it out. He's got great mentors and coaches and resources. But he's got to take action and fail forward. Make sense? If you haven't developed a team, do yourself a favor and encourage them to fail often, fail fast, and fail quickly. People you coach, encourage them to go fail. The quicker you fail, the quicker you will grow this learning. I promise. And when you fail, you will learn that much faster. So moral of that story, all the knowledge in the world that you get from this company or podcast or books, go take action. High achievers reach their goals by making training, education, self-development the foundation of their plan. Keller Williams has agent curriculums of all levels. These are kind of the core books. One of them was Shift over here. MREA book. If you don't have a copy of the MREA book, please see your team leader after this to figure out how you get a copy. Soapbox is that's not a pleasure novel. It's a manual. It's a textbook. If you're in science class in college with your textbook, you'd probably take notes and have sticky tabs and dog ears because it's a manual. So when I hear people like, oh yeah, I have it on audio and I listen to it on my commute. It's like, no, that's for sci-fi. That's for romance. That's pleasure. You're not going to retain it while you're driving. because you're doing 14 other things while you're passing chips back to the kids. And it's really great. Now I got this from a mentor of mine. I was like, all right, so when do you listen to audiobooks? He says, when I've already read it and studied it, and it just becomes a refresher. That's when he goes audio. Ben Kinney admits, he's like, I don't like reading. I'm not good at reading, but I know I need to read. So he gets the audio, he throws it 1.5 speeds, look at how this a little bit, and goes talk with the mouse like this. And he reads it like someone's reading a story. He's like, I get through the book way faster. My attention span's not broken because I'm getting it here and here. I'm taking notes. And that's how I read the book a week. He gets the audio and the textbook and carves out time. Chris Suarez time blocks reading in terms of his 8-hour day. Whoever said we can only read after hours or before? If reading is foundation part of your growth, hey, 2 o'clock to 2:30 every day, read. We think we have to read at 5 a.m. or 10 p.m. You could do that. But he's going, no, I got to go read. So for him, it was 24 bucks a year. That's 2 a week, 2 a month. He's got to read about 20 pages a day. Cool. How long will it take? 45 minutes. Great. When are you going to do it? 2 to 2:45. Great. Time block. Action. Because it's part of his 4-in-1 to read 24 books. Are we seeing how it could all translate to being purposeful? And then when you read, create your Avengers. For my coaches in the room, or team leaders, when you read things like the MREA or One Thing or Atomic Habits, every page based on the content that you wrote, and I said coaches, all of us are consultants, so this is for everybody actually. Write a question that you can ask based on that content. When we can learn to ask great questions, we will get great answers and we will have great businesses. There's your books, The One Thing. I love The One Thing. They've got a podcast that's really strong. My wife and I did a couples goal setting retreat that The One Thing put on last November. That was we have the kids, grandparents came in, took care of the kids. We got a condo, we took the boat over to Crystal River. We set aside for a 3-day getaway. 1.5 days was eating, drinking, fishing. 1.5 days was sitting in front of the laptop doing this One Thing couples retreat. We talked about wealth, life, plans, her quitting her job, us quitting investments, our personal relationships, our marriage, our religion, the stuff that life encompasses that sometimes we forget to have conversations with who we're doing life with. So take action with it. The One Thing goal setting retreat, it's there for you. Okay. Ahas from learning base and action items. We'll do 2, but we're short on time. I get passionate about the stuff. Yes.
I'm a big efficiency guy, so the 1.5 times speed, listening to it while reading it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's faster than I can ever do it, and it's going to keep my attention span. Good. One more. Surely that's something. All right, whatever you're filtering out, someone just say it right now. Don't filter. Go. Yes.
So in the hospital, we train CPR, but you really don't know it until you.
Perfect. So understanding, we've got to go do it.
Yeah, you just have to let them do it.
Yeah. And I imagine doing it on a dummy is very different than doing it in real life.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
So if someone you could pass out, I can really, I'm just kidding.
I'm ready.
Let's go do it. Okay, step 5, remove your limiting beliefs. In bold, they call it a drunk monkey. Not anymore, monkey mind. I still like drunk monkey. Remove your limiting beliefs that hold you back. That's what you can do as a high achiever. Here's an exercise they do. We're not going to do it here. Or we kind of will as a group. Who can share with me a limiting belief they had once upon a time or still have regarding those things? Who wants to share? Once upon a time I had it, because if you had it and someone else currently has it, or you still have it, it's just kind of, it's the little, yes ma'am.
When I started, I was 25 and I thought, why would you use me to help them buy or sell a home in St. John?
Perfect.
Told me to do it.
Perfect. I've been there. I started at 27 and they put me in charge of an office at 28. I'm like, what? Really? Okay. It was a big limiting belief and it held me back. Did it hold you back?
Especially in the beginning, I mean, I felt like I was nervous to and say things I knew.
How did you confront it? How did you overcome that?
I'm more experience. I mean, I've been doing it now 8 years.
So you just kick butt. Like when you were 26, when you were 26, did you still have them too young?
Say what?
When you were 26 years old, did you still have that limiting belief?
Oh, of course. I mean, I still have it sometimes now, but I know that I know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Like,
We've got to retrain our brain. Thank you for giving that example. And I've heard age, I've heard experience, I've heard language barrier, I've heard all sorts of things. I've heard I just moved here, I don't have anybody, how am I gonna do it? I don't have any friends. I don't have a sphere. I'm too busy with this. All these things are going, at the very beginning, we said, what are the 3 obstacles that are gonna get in your way from you crushing your goals? They're probably attached to your limiting beliefs. What are those obstacles were? Now, some are real, some we can move, some are all made up. Do yourself a favor, and they call it RAS, your reticular activated sensor. It says when you're aware of things because we bring it to attention. I want you to listen to yourself and your self-talk for any limiting beliefs that you hear. When you do it, I want you to give yourself a pep talk. And we've got to retrain our brain. Our brain is powerful, but we've got to retrain it. Because I don't know, I'm too young, why would anyone use me? What's an opposite of that of why someone would use you because you're 25? Technology, energy. My at-home commitments are non-existent maybe for some. Right? So there's always an opposite that actually is this strength to your weakness. So instead of lightening on your weakness, we go, wait a minute. Mr. and Mrs. Klein, you might be wondering, because many people ask, I am 25 years old and I look like I'm 16, and I get it. Yet, as a 25-year-old, I can promise you I align myself with the best company, the best training, the best coaching, the best resources. And I will tirelessly and effortlessly work for you on your behalf. In fact, if it's nights and weekends, I'm in. Because right now, this is my focus, and you are my client, therefore you are my focus. All that being said, knowing that I'm going to work like a bird dog on your behalf, will me being 25 be an issue with us working together? Because if it is, I'm gonna go find someone, I'm happy to get a referral fee and like it's good. Take your limiting belief, give yourself a pep talk, say, what is the opposite and how does this give me power? And then whether you tell yourself it or tell your clients that, we'll start listening. The same guy I talked about with his Baton Rouge accountability buddy, he was 22. He looked like he was 19. In 2011, Jersey Shore was popular. He's an Italian guy. He had the puff and the studs. He's 22, but looks like he's 13. We started Ignite together, it's Camp 443, bullpen together. He's doing the same effort I'm doing. I got 8 closings, he's got none. He is just tired. And then I heard him say, oh yeah, the young kid, you're friends with that young kid in the office, right? And it flips. He's like, why don't you, in that same speech I just gave that example, it's like, just say this to your clients. His conversion went through the roof. Now he did his best to not look 13 anymore. Different haircut, change out the diamond studs. Right, so he helped himself edge that out, but he had to just confront it. So when you hear your limiting belief creep in your head, if you don't change it, you're right. Henry Ford tells us, if you think you can or you think you can't, right? If you think you just moved here and you know nobody, so why would somebody use you? Right. So how can we change that? I just moved here. What a great opportunity to go choose my sphere of influence, who I want to work with, instead of being sphere of influence I've been inherited. Go choose it.
Lived here for 30 years and never leave the beach.
Yeah. Yes.
Just go around and learn more than they
Yeah.
know.
And then be like, great. We know that now more than ever, with the information in this industry, people will ditch their old realtor for their new realtor. Like that. Loyalty is not what it was because information is in space. So as a new agent, you have a much better chance to take market share than you would have 10 years ago. Because the clientele is much more open to changing and shifting. So the same reason we have to protect our moat gives you the competitive edge that you can actually go infiltrate other people's moats. Does that make sense? So there's how we remove limiting beliefs. That was that chapter. We'll save your ahas for after. Be accountable. Page 85. This is gonna sting some of you. Because you have two sides of this pillar. You have a victim or an accountable person. A victim shows ignorance and doesn't seek reality. I don't want a scoreboard because I don't want to know if I'm doing well or bad, 'cause I don't like it. I'm going to choose ignorance versus reality. You are hanging out in the victim module, not the accountable model. Second, they will fight reality. They denial, they make excuses. They say it's fudge, the scale's broken, or no this, or yeah, but it's just my first month and I'm still learning things, so I don't have to do the data in for because it's, they fight it. They don't like the scores, start making excuses around it as opposed to going, yep, that's the way it is. Got it. I own it. I'm going to fix it. You hear the difference? Number 3, the victim blame. If everyone would just do their job, man, this market, this market, I can't do it. It's hard working the buyer. This market, blame, 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 or own it. Okay, it's definitely different than the market was 5 years ago. We got to shift. We got to be strategic. And now you, Mrs. FHA buyer, who doesn't have any extra money for an appraisal gap, we're probably not going to find your house in the MLS. Or if we do, it's not the greatest flood. And so if a house is in the market today and it is beautiful and it's priced right, we'll go see it, but let's just manage our expectations. Let's do some golden letters or do some FSBOs or do some off-market stuff. We can go find your house, not on Black Friday. Make sense? Or we can be like, can't work with that FHA buyer. Oh, well. Because that FHA buyer is going to go find an agent who's going to own it and work. Personal excuses. No one told me. It's not my job. I said that last night to the team. It's not my job as the kiss of death in my organization. Yes, it is. It's part of the business. I did my part. I was never given a chance. Doesn't work here. Or find solutions. Okay, what are my options? Yep, it's broken. How do we fix it? Let's get to work. And finally, resignation. If it was meant to be, it'll happen. Que sera, sera. Whatever's supposed to happen, I know it. I'm just going to wait and see and let life tell me what my business will be like. Or get on with it. Action plan. Let's get started. Time up. Let's go. Let's get to work. It's 8:30. Rise and shine. No, excuse me. 5:30. Rise and shine. Mark, how often do you work out?
About 5 times a week,
What time?
early.
Early. What time?
Usually about 5:30.
5:30. In the workout. Breaking sweat at 5:30. What time do you wake up?
4:15.
4:15. What time do you go to bed?
9:30.
Christina, what are you, you're missing that?
About 4 foot up at 2 o'clock from Mark's head. There's 3 very powerful words. Be, do, have. Man, I wish I had Mark's job. Man, I hope when I'm his age, I got a body like Mark. Man, you're in good shape. Be proud of it. You're good. Have you ever seen him blush? Man, I wish I could have a business like a pocketbook. Like I wish I could have investment departments. I wish I could have ownership. I wish I could have. Before you have, what are you doing? Are you doing what people like him are doing? And before you're doing that, who are you being? Because I promise if you're not being someone, you're probably not going to do it, or if you do, it's going to be short-lived. One of my favorite things in Atomic Habits is how you identify with yourself. And he gave the example of the smoker. Any current or past smokers here? All clean smokers? Yes. Okay, current, past? Past. So you quit. Do you smoke?
Do I smoke now?
No. Doesn't smoke. When did you quit?
Probably 5 years ago.
5 years ago? When you were quitting, and I said, do you want a cigarette? What would your response be?
Actually, it's kind of weird, my quitting, because it wasn't from one day to another, so I like stop and once in a while I smoke one.
So you kind of wait it off. Well, what happens often is if I smoke, you don't smoke, but I'm trying to quit and you offer me a cigarette. Want a cigarette? You'll say, I don't smoke. I'll say, no thanks, I'm trying to quit. Have you ever heard that? You relate to that? How do I identify myself? A smoker. Who's trying to quit. I am not being a non-smoker. I'm just trying to do the not smoker. Until I identify with myself as I don't smoke, I didn't start doing the choice of not smoking. So do you identify as a top producer? Do you identify as someone who adds value to your database to at least 10 people every day? And a good way to start identifying it is retrain yourself. What's that movie? You're pretty, you're smart.
Oh, you were kind, you're smart, you're important, the help.
You're kind, you're smart, and important. She said it every day of this. What did this girl believe? We just call those affirmations. And sometimes we roll our eyes at affirmations and we think it's there. No, you are telling yourself you're kind, you're smart, and you're important. You are a lead generator and you will add value to your business every day. And you will talk to at least 10 people. And you will find somebody. I am the type of agent who will relentlessly work and find someone every day who wants to buy, sell, or invest in the next 12 months. When you can identify yourself as that agent, guess what you're more likely to do that day? Show up as that agent. Then when you do that every day, what will you have? Really good business. Success. There's accountability. If you want to have a life like somebody spiritually, physically, intellectually, business-wise, go identify who they are and create your mentors. Your mentor can be from a close or from afar. Gary Keller can be your business mentor, even though you've never shaken his hand, because you read his books. John Maxwell can be your leadership mentor. Or one of your local team leaders can be your leadership mentor, and you can have that actual coaching conversation. Whoever it is, if it's someone personal, make sure they know it. And if it's not, get intentional with it. To have something like them. And this is apart from Quantum Leap. When you have accountability through the 4-in-1 or for anything for your accountability partners, here's this accountability conversation sounds like. What's your name? Emma. You're my accountability partner. Okay? These are her goals, and I've got my goals. I'm going to ask her, great, what was your goal last week? You'll say, give me a goal. It's 2 appointments. Appointments. That's what she ordered a 4-in-1, right? Okay. You just do this. How'd you do? You have 2 appointments? Say yes or no.
Yes.
Yes. Great. How do you feel about that? Great. Now, if she said I had no appointments, might I think, oh, bummer. But I can go, how do you feel about that? And she might go, actually really good, because I was really focused on my database, and I got called out of work for 3 times because something happened, and I was still able to focus and still hit my 10-4. So we don't want to assume that you failed, because we're making progress, not perfection. All right, so you had 2 appointments. So based on that last week, what are you gonna do this week to stay on track? What that says? What do you do now to hit your goal? Should probably say 2 more. Great. Is there anything that might stop you from having 2 appointments this week? Whatever they are, let's talk about it. If you needed additional training or support around those things, go to the resources you have. That's accountability session. By the way, coach, there's a script. There's a coaching script. Be careful, accountability partners or coaches or team leaders, that you are not this person. Do not give yourselves jobs. Do not say, great, call me every day and tell me how you did. No, you just gave me a job. I'll say, great, track this, and next week we'll look at your scorecard. Right? Or, great, text me every day. I may or may not reply, but it doesn't mean I didn't receive it. But what did you do? How do you feel? Based on that, what do we got to do next? What's going to get in your way? How can we move those obstacles? What training support resources do you have? Onward. There's your accountability ship. The last thing, and I love it, and I use it all the time. These are the 4 conversations. Of those 4, if you can only have one, which would you choose to hit? You can only have one of these 4 that you hit your goal. Which one would you choose? What do you guys think? Real life. Let me change this. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're gonna go, ladies first. You're gonna go first. You can only choose that you will hit one of your goals. Which one do you choose? So she says, I'm gonna nail my appointments. What are you gonna choose? Me too. I'm like, if I miss my appointments, if I hit my profit, because at the end of the day, the purpose of business is to fund the perfect life.
I would have 20 appointments.
Right. So profit. And if I can't hit profit, then I go hit closings. If I can't hit closings, I hit listings. If I can't hit listings, I hit appointments. So as a new agent, or any agent, I don't care. If you're not hitting all 4 of them, then which one do we focus on? I'll give you a hint. The one thing has dominoes, right? What's our first domino? Appointments. And until we hit appointments, guess what else we don't talk about? Anything except you hitting your appointments. Once you hit your appointments, what are we going next? Great. How many buyers or seller listings do we take from those appointments? Fantastic. Once we hit that number, are they getting to closing? Once we hit that number, are we getting the profit? And sometimes we talk about section 4 and 3, but we forget to talk about section 1 and 2. But if we're not hitting 2, 3, and 4, or any of them, then just go focus on your appointments. Because I promise you, if you don't have enough appointments, you're probably not going to have enough listings. So there's some accountability charts for you. The bottom line is you have these 6 perspectives. It's mindset, it's focus, it's intentionality, it's knowing that whatever you want to do is actually very possible. Much dumber people have done better, done more. And I say that, and I'm not saying generalities, but people not as smart as me are doing better than I am. And people not as athletic as I are more athletic than me because they put in the work. So whoever you are, you can do whatever you choose. Be patient, trust the process, get the progression, and watch it come into place there. So now we're going to finish it off as a whole aspect of your ahas, your questions, your focus, and please tell me one of your Avenger circles of what are you going to do based on today's knowledge and content that will make sure you get at least a 4-to-1 return on your time today. Let's wrap this up. And then we'll take you on to phase 2 with Mr. Lopez. And as you're doing that and thinking, as a reminder, I would love a review. So as you're doing that, or sharing some ahas or actions, you were here, many of you are explorers. So reiterate it, state it out to the universe. What's going to change starting now? Pete?
One thing from the last session, I hadn't really thought about this. Anybody can be your mentor. It doesn't have to be the person close to you that you're talking to specifically. It can be anyone across the world that's setting the right example. And then from an implementation standpoint, I think the extreme Pareto idea makes tremendous sense. Really boiling down even past the 80-20 rule, past 20%, and getting you super hyper focused on where the people that are going to provide value to you.
Yeah, I drove up with Ray, he's the OP. And you said our top 20% are on paper, the earners of the office. Then the ALC is theoretically the visible, engaged leaders of the office. I was like, there's also some influencers on the ALC because they've either been there, done that, retired, they're worked out, and capacity. So I said it'd be a really good exercise for our team leaders to extreme Pareto the market center. And I kind of framed it of going, if you were starting and launching a brand new market center and we had a draft pick, who would be your first round draft pick, the agent you want to bring with you. And it might not be the highest producer, and it might not be who's been on your ALC forever. It's going to be the engaged leader, culture, like. And so as team leaders going, let's go extreme Pareto our office. And just like we said, we got extreme Pareto our database. Let's let our agents know who might not be in that spotlight because they're not there, how much they mean to us as leaders, and why we chose them as a first round or second round draft pick. Pete, you know what? Someone had to do this, and I thought about it. Be the first person. Someone came to mind just now. Oh, give him a phone call and give him that gratitude. And it's going to make all the difference in the world. So extreme Pareto of everything. Good. Thank you for that, Pete. Okay, someone who's an agent.
I would like to extreme Pareto our database because we do this, but we don't say you're here because of what you give us. We just say like, thank you. We do all kinds of events, but we don't, I like how you said, like, you were here because of this, which we did. And we don't just do the 20%, we invite everyone.
Yeah.
So we need to do more, our people that, when you break it down, they actually gave us this many transactions. They're the core of our.
The core. Do extreme Pareto. Right above Mark, again, it's italics. People will grow into the conversations you create around them. By the way, maybe some of the VIP influencers in the office are the ones who gave the most referrals and has the largest profit share. Say, hey, thank you. Did you know you're the #1 referrer at the office last quarter? Let's go to dinner. I appreciate you. Big deal. And it might be the brand new agent. Cool. All right, so far it's 2 for 2, extreme Pareto. And extreme Pareto starts with your tasks, with your day, your time. Right? One more.
So for me, I emergency room, so I get called all the time. Or text messages today about COVID and questions and stuff. I want to be the person that they call about real estate, but they don't know.
Yeah. Do you remember what that model is and that bullseye that you got to do? 8 by 8. 8 touches over 8 weeks, and the purpose of that is to cement the relationship. When I meet somebody new at an open house, they didn't know me yesterday, they know me today. For the next 8 weeks, welcome to Rick's world. We are in it. Here's some newsletters, here's some flyers, coming to an open house again. I saw you on Facebook. Hey, we're gonna get some drinks over here. Come on in. And they're gonna go, wow, this is amazing. Thank you. Guess what? I'm cemented. They're gonna go, wow, you are creeping me out. Leave me alone. But guess what? I would have never had a minute. Right? You got to retrain everybody. And just do the 8 by 8, not like, I know I'm still agent, right? I know I told you last week, do it again. No, it's not about that. It's fill it up. Add value. Ask questions. The #1 script you can do if you don't know what to say to people after you just have a caring conversation with them. Hey, great chatting with you. Before I hang up, out of curiosity, what are your real estate related plans this year? What real estate questions do you have that I answer for you? That's it. Out of curiosity, what are your real estate related plans? Not do you want to buy, sell, or invest? That's a yes or no now question. Because they might not say, what are curiosity, what are your real estate related plans? You ever think about refining? Can you offer value? Well, think about putting in a pool. Can you offer value? Well, think about upsizing. Okay. We want to remodel. We want to paint. We want to do landscape. Can you offer value? Be the resource to anything real estate related. Okay. Thank you guys. I'm going to hang out here for a little bit. Yes, sir.
Real quick, I don't know if anything in the chat or not. But
Oh yeah, where's them? It's a great class. Got to go. Next appointment. No problem. 411. Naturally comfortable speaking. Okay, we're good there.
Hey, so Rick drove up last night to town, stayed overnight away from his family to provide us some value. So I, for one, appreciate it very much. Thanks so much for sharing. And 1 o'clock, we got time to stretch our legs, grab a quick bite to eat. Hopefully you guys can make it back for Ray's class. It starts at 1. That's probably going to go an hour, 15 minutes or so. Great information on home investing and how to build a portfolio of homes and pay them off in a short period of time as well. So thanks again to Rick. Hope to see you guys back at 1 o'clock or so. And thanks for the participation as well. So thanks for you guys.
Thank you.
I go to the restroom.
Me too.
Great, thanks for all that. It was wonderful.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
I'm really shy, so I just wanted to hear, because I do want to do that 10 a day.
Okay.
And I'm new to Jacksonville, basically from New York.
Okay.
So I want you to be in Burger King. I want to hear what you're going to say.
I can't give you a this is the script for strangers, right? It's the easiest way to start is give gratitude.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
the easiest way to open up a conversation. So an example, I'm assisting with my bowl coach with Burger King, and I said it on there. So I order a Whopper. Hey, thanks. How are you? Number one, I've got this thing on.
Oh, okay.
Right?
I actually work, today it's on my desk.
Okay.
But I-
I may or may not do that. I'll say, hey,
Well, I feel like the
fantastic, now I'm
lesson
waiting
I've
for it.
been around you
Is say, hey, out of curiosity,
you were like, I'm
either
so
I'm new to the
tired.
area or I'm in a new industry of real estate,
Yeah.
looking to meet people who have any real estate related goals. Curious, do you have any real estate related goals or plans? So we gotta help you out. There to go. Oh. Okay, well, hey, thanks for the burger. See you later. Right, we're gonna go, actually, yeah. And then when they say, yeah, are we prepared to service it? So we have a home buyers workshop that we do once a month. Sometimes we have people who are kind of that, maybe, you know what, I'd love to be a resource. In fact, we have a home buyers workshop. If you want, I can
Yeah.
let me
so you're
text you the
ready,
link.
yeah.
Because before I can get your information, I need to add value that you want to have right now.
I was gonna say, just like when you asked for someone email address, a lot of people might not want to give you their phone number, especially not their home address.
If you create enough value, they will.
And what you should get first, if you have your email. That
So
way-
I don't ask, can I have? I tell them what I'm gonna give them, and I just pull up my phone, and be like, what's your cell phone? I'll send it to you. And we just kind of go to that action, they're gonna give it to you. And I'm like, oh, great, can I have your cell phone? We'll stay in touch. No, thank you. Like, oh, I love that. What's your time frame for you? Well, the lease is done in June. Okay, so kind of between now and June. June's the latest. Well, yeah. Well, if you want, I've got a great YouTube video. Go YouTube. On kind of steps between now and getting pre-approved. What's your email or what's your text? I'll shoot it to you. So I always ask, I'll send it to you. And then when they're already said yes to that, you just keep going. All right, and then, or so I'll go, what's your email? I'll shoot it over to you. Perfect. And when I send it, I'll text you, let you know it's in your inbox. What's your phone number? Right? And the birthdays, when you just call a collect database, so what's your name? Barbara. So I know Barbara, she's an acquaintance, but all I have is a phone number. So I'm just trying to go, hey, Barbara, this is Rick, and launching and really getting focused and intentional with people in my business. I intend to help 40 clients this year. Very excited, helping 40 families buy or sell. So before I go talk to a bunch of strangers at Burger King who I don't know, I wanted to make sure that first my friends, family, and acquaintances are taken care of. Curious to any real estate needs that's helping. She says, no, but that's so exciting and this is great. I said, well, thank you. I said, I would love to stay in touch. And part of my 33 touch, right, is we do all sorts of things in real estate. Sometimes it's real estate related. Sometimes it's barbecues and families and company picnics and happy hours with our vendors. I'd love to be able to just kind of keep you a part of it. So if you have somebody, we can do that. So I've got your cell phone. What's your best email? She's already a friend. She said, yes, good luck. Email, got it.
Yeah, just trying to.
When's your birthday? You're probably gonna give a birthday. You're like, yeah, June 19th. And when I send you a birthday card, where should I go?
Yeah, just keep.
Now she just gave me her home address. Now I've got her home address and her mailing address or her email. Now she's on my smart plan of the neighborhood nurture that goes out. But if I would have said, great, and what's your mailing address or what's your home address? She might be like, what am I gonna send you? But the birthday, like, I'm gonna send you a card. It's your birthday. Yeah.
Or, you could even, people might say, yeah, I'd just like to send you monthly updates on whatever neighborhood you're interested in seeing market values on it for your home. Does that interest you, or maybe something like that?
When
right?
you're converting database, be careful to say, I'm gonna send you stuff on my business that you have zero interest in. Right? So like, oh, I'm a car dealership. Well, I'm not gonna buy my car. I love my truck, series old. Well, great, I'll send you a monthly list of all of our inventory. No, I don't want you to inventory. But if you say, hey, great, you know what? Can I say this? This is my script. I'd love to add you to our business database. About 80% of the stuff we do and send out It's fun, family related. About 20% is gonna be the occasional real estate. They kind of goes, okay, I can deal with that. That was 80-20. 60-40, 50, but I make sure we have parks, we do happy hour, we do, if you're a mother, you're my database, on Mother's Day, you get an orchid hand delivered to your house. On Father's Day, you get local beer, a koozie with some barbecue rub season. If you're not a parent and it's 4th of July, you get a 4th of July flag day.
And last question I have, because I know Barbara.
No, actually, he's answering a lot of my questions as he's giving the script because I don't know, just like to get clear about the real estate needs involved when you have your, I'm curious, that's actually such a good line, I'm curious, you know.
Yeah, just to hear like
What are your-
successful people's lives.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I always had little tidbits when I was in banking and I was a top,
You know,
president's club there. I had Fidelity Investments. I was also Achiever. So I always had like a few lines and snippets that
Same ones over.
tell people
because
is,
once you
well,
get to
they're a
it,
little
you know.
different, you know, it's just.
The
things
frosting
that
looks
make them
different, but the
successful.
confetti cake
Yes,
is the same.
correct, yes. Second question, single agent versus. I know you have a team. What do you prefer?
Such a
You've
loaded
been
question,
both.
such a
I
loaded
know.
question, single or married?
I'm married. I have 4,
Okay, first marriage?
yes, and I have 4 young.
And I say that is not much different advice. Some people, know this is getting married. Some people get married, but to the wrong person. It's a train wreck.
I've been married.
Okay, so some people nail it the first time, and you're gonna be a testament of going marriage is beautiful. But if you have the wrong choice or the wrong relationship. it's gonna
Oh,
be a
okay,
train
so
wreck.
that's what you're saying.
And if I move to, if my son goes to college and tells me 2 months into college, he's proposing to a girl he met in science class, I'm going, no, you're not. You gotta figure out who you are first. And you gotta grow up and be yourself before you know who's gonna be the perfect match for you. So solo agent who's looking for a team early on, it's because you're unconscious and confident, you don't know what you don't know, and you feel like a team will at least give you a play.
Exactly.
Or it's gonna give you a tribe, so you walk in and now you have a social group that you belong to something you're not alone. We can fix both those things with a tribe. There's a tribe right here with your Ignite. With your coach, you've got the playbook. Some
waiting
people,
for him.
team is perfect. Here's where I'm gonna break down why a team will work for some. When you know your strengths and your weaknesses, and you've got self-mastery, and you know, like, I just love doing this, but I can't stand the back office. And I know I'm not the type of person that wants to take the big risk and go hire someone to do that. I'm just gonna leverage it out and let a team do it. But if you go to a team because you just feel alone or scared or you need leads, that's a short-term Band-Aid and usually ends with great results. Usually. I don't know the teams here. I don't know if they're dysfunctional or functional. I don't know who they are.
I cannot be on the team because I travel too much.
Well, and that shouldn't change anything if
Yeah.
it's the right team.
Team.
Because you wouldn't say I can't get married because I travel too much.
They're good
That's
teams.
true. Yeah.
Okay.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, and then the other thing is I believe teams should grow organically when their business hits a threshold that they need more support. Now, if you come in with 300 names, then I know through our systems, if you could just do your 5 job descriptions, we'll handle all the back end, we can convert 30 units. If you go, well, shoot, if you can convert 30 units,
You told me that on the
I
phone.
remember I'm shooting for 40.
through all of it, we'll maybe 400. Through all, but your 300 will go. Your open house will go. But if you can do that through all of this, you're going, I don't want to do that. So game on, let's do it. I was on a team because my best friend said, join real estate. Come to Keller Williams. Here's how I joined Keller Williams. Hi, looking for Beth. I'm a new agent. I'm joining Tony's team. We're here to sign up. So, oh yeah, sit down. That was my interview. That's joining Tony's team. I didn't know a thing. So here's a red book. Cool, I read it. I was like, this is good. I had a coach. I was like, oh my gosh. And then I went to Ignite, Camp 443. December 3rd, December 22nd. Tony, we got to talk. I joined your team because I thought I needed models, systems, tools, accountability, and training. Turns out I got it. Leave your team.
That sounds really good.
Took me 3 weeks to realize, like, actually, everything I thought I wanted from you, I don't. And I was like,
Gosh, I don't even know what I'm saying.
What I already had was the tribe, my best friend. So I still had lunch buddies. But you don't need to be on a team to have a tribe.
Well, I'm not worried. Yeah, I agree with you, like.
Join a
on that.
committee.
Yeah. No, I
Give
had
your
plenty
partners.
of action in my house like that.
We are evolving into a world that single agent or team doesn't matter. Entrepreneurial versus purposeful, the agents who win it will get eaten up over the next 5 years. And I say they get eaten up, they're gonna have a hard time progressing through that. So you sound like you've got leadership. So why don't you go hit your ceiling and go hire an assistant with the director? Why can't you be a great team too?
Well, I already named my Burns Group FL. I
Perfect.
already have a GoDaddy,
Perfect.
you know, and I have a website being built and everything else. It's just, because I just had a team here leave me a message when we were in this.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I haven't even looked at what it is. She's also a friend of mine too, but
Here's what's gonna happen.
I don't know if she's.
And I get in trouble a lot as a coach saying this. Some of the teams think I'm saying this. I tell new agents, especially if they're good. I go over the next 2, 3, and 4 months, teams are gonna start to notice you and how good you are. And they're gonna start inquiring and inviting you to join. Just know that they're doing that because they see so much potential in you and they want to capitalize and maximize. And it's a testament to you going in the right direction. Be careful not to do it so quick because they're actually validating you are great and you'll do it yourself. And especially when teams don't follow the model, which is a hiring process called career visioning, which is a most thorough interview you'll ever go through in your life. It's about 4 to 5 different interviews because I want to know who you are, how you're wired, how you think, where you've been that brought you to this person you are today, and where you want to be in the next 5 years to make sure that my team can get you there in the next 5 years. If I can't, then I'm actually doing you this service.
Right.
That's a conversation through 4 interviews. And then come meet my team to make sure you guys all jive well. And then it's the next step. And I see so many people go, great, look at everything we'll do for you. Do you want to join? Sign here. And that's their interview process. Here's the problem with that. If they don't know you and you don't know them, it's kind of a shotgun wedding. May or may not work out well, right?
Yeah, so she is like.
If in 6 months you decide it didn't work out,
So I struggle.
they get to keep going and really don't skip a beat. What happens to your business?
Yeah.
You're like, well, I gotta start over again. All the momentum I'm putting into has been building momentum for the team, and now I'm gonna go out. and get my shit again. So it's much worse to leave a team and start over than it is to wait and make sure you're with the right team if you want. Long answer short, be patient and be choosy.
Thank you.
That was actually very good.
I feel a lot, you know, after just a few weeks, I feel where I came in like, oh, I want to join a team where I'm almost like, I don't want to join it. I want to be a team, like I said, team leader. I can do this.
I'm trying to convince, my husband retired 4 years ago, and I'm trying to convince him to get a real estate license with me. He's very good, he's one of those people that you're talking about, like discipline. I mean, he was military, then he was a dentist. He retired at 48 from dentistry, went into consulting, and that's all he does. He basically manages our trusts. That's it. And we're not a trust baby. We build our own trust.
Yeah,
We have an agent who just joined us. She
Yeah.
did 17 units and 6 million last year.
Yeah.
Just joined us, and her retired computer analytics husband
Yeah.
joined her to do all operations. So he has been watching her for 14 years, just grind and hustle solo agent. He came in, read the MRA, took these classes, like, oh, I'm gonna solve all of her problems. And it's a fun dynamic to watch. Because she's like, no. And he's like, well, just do this. And so my coaching is more like narrative.
And that's my weakness is that, keeping on, because I do a lot, I work really hard, but I can get distracted. And making sure I'm doing those, that's what I gotta keep doing. And I know that's my weakness.
So
It was my
then,
weakness at all my other jobs.
that's your
because-
weakness. Now we got to figure out what can you put in place as a resource to help you with that weakness. Coach and analytic systems.
And time
Me too.
blocks.
For me,
gotta
I
do
have
those.
to have that accountability. I just know
Yeah.
this.
We all
You know
do.
what, because I'm good for one day and then I kind of
Yeah.
Or you get to the end of the week, you know.
You know,
I
And
know my-
accountability.
And then I beat
seems to be-
myself up and I feel guilty,
Mhm.
which is even worse, because then it produces like negative feelings, so you're putting yourself down, and I'm saying that, yes, I'm saying to myself, I can't do this is just crazy, what am I doing, you know? And then, so,
And people who do a job well done, you want to cut.
Yeah.
If you do your 10-4, and then I, as a night instructor, don't ask about the 10-4, you're like, come on, that's what the 10-4, I did it. So when we do our job, we want to cut. We don't get it.
I don't even know if I've got to the class.
yeah, you
10-4
just
yet.
start.
Yeah,
you
so
just
I'm
start
trying
and
to
you
get all the
I-
cuts
This
too.
was very good, thank you.
Yeah, no,
appreciate
it was wonderful. Thank you. I'm very glad I came here.
Good. Yes, you
Yeah, she
Good.
is.
She's motivating, I said.
can. After beer,
Yes.
Yes, and then we'll go grab some meat real fast,
Okay.
because I want to come back to that class. And what time is your first thing?
Yeah, I'm gonna come back.
One.
Are you staying?
We're staying
Yeah,
one.
you're too.
Okay, can we just walk down?
I'm just gonna-
I actually had to lunch at the car and I was gonna go to Peters and it was too hard to leave at home.
He is like breaking the mold right now, so his third listing, hasn't worked for the single buyer, so he is working, but he's not super engaged. Okay, because he also has. But I think he's one that as soon as he can drop the part-time job, if his real estate is bringing enough money, he will be. He's like,
Yeah, that's almost what I'm kind of.
Yeah. Which I was worried because I mean, she wasn't really engaged or because. You know. One of the things like she was very engaged and oh, awesome. She's in New Beach. She comes, yeah, she comes coaching every Friday. She always has been. Okay?
He's just telling about the guy that supposed to wash his hands.
That's what made, you know, can I agree?
All right, we'll go.
Yeah, but it's hard, you had to still do that.
I
Um,
know.
Okay.
Thank you guys, girls.
Yeah, and she calls me on.
I've been there,
So she calls me
Thanks,
very
great,
often
great
and
stuff.
she'll just get a cake and talk for 5 minutes.
It really
I'm
is.
like, yeah, and we'll just chat.
I didn't know that. Good to know.
That was a journey.
I'm sure it was. Yeah.
But she's done. But
Pursuit as-
obviously she's pretty sensitive. She's done. She's not a person.
From recruiting.
Yeah.
I'm strictly.
Within 3 months after I left.
Ideally, I would like to do some. I'd like
Isn't that
to
crazy?
stay until the rest of the
Yes.
I think she's different.
So,
I even
never
said
got
4
to
months
get
after.
there with her because she was here for so
And then I
long
saw
before I
their
did.
Keller.
If that makes
Everyone.
sense. So.
Yeah, there's that, it's that
And I
transition.
even told
Yeah.
whoever it was, like, I was starting around. with 15. I was just tired of
Honestly, Mark, I
hearing about she's here, low.
she is really close to us, that place.
Mhm.
And he is starting a team. And they hang out a lot. And so as soon as I saw that he was starting a team, I was like, no wonder she's gonna reach out to him. Okay. But she doesn't do a ton of business, so he might not work on these teams. Like he is 2%.
We have one. I guess we'll just walk down. You gonna grab it?
No, I'm gonna let y'all go, Mark. If I get, grab me something.
Okay. Just write down which one.
I don't even know, just grab something that's. Here. Yes, something with chips.
Is
They
it
have
possible-
shit.
is it possible to go number one? And, is it possible to go number one?
Go number 2, Mark, if you want to.
He's got to do, get a hug.
I wouldn't advise it, but you can.
Did it ever get replaced? Nancy bought a new one?
Yeah, yes, I crawled under it yesterday and unscrewed the current one, and we did replace it this morning, so. No, I uninstalled the old one. Somebody else installed this one, fortunately.
Great class, seriously, awesome.
Have you been to 6
Never.
Okay.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, once we got through the technical errors to begin with, then it was, I mean, with, and part of that be our.
What I see, because last night I just went through it, updated, made sure the right error and everything was times that. I didn't see that I hit it. So once upon a time I taught a class just on the one.
So you did, yeah.
So I hit it. So I went to presentation mode, it's like, but it didn't translate. I was like, screw it. I think it worked. Your TVs are big enough.
No, yeah, it definitely worked. And you
What,
didn't
were
get
you back
frustrated, so that was helpful.
What were you back here?
Huh?
No,
No,
so your
the-
TVs are big enough.
Yeah.
To have that
Oh,
view
let's-
mode. versus
Yeah, we
actual-
Let's end this.
It helped. I can't, but most people could. We had like 25 on Zoom.
I do that.
It was the last two. Okay, I forgot we were doing this.
Well, I do hybrid a lot, and actually,